It's a new year, but at the House That Happens, we are up to the same shenanigans, and you love it. Hello, and welcome back to the House That Happens, sponsored by Shoey's Bar and Grill, the only place to be in suburban Etobicoke, voted 4 times the best dive bar in all the GTA. It's number 1 in our hearts, the Phoenix rising from the ashes. I am Andrew Milani.
Hi, my name is Cruz, and Happy New Year's to the world. Wishing you what? Joy and blessings. That's been my creed for the whole holiday season, and to everybody else who's involved in pagan rituals. How's that?
Okay.
Sound good?
We are back in the chaos.
Yes, we are.
How was your New Year?
It was great. I went out for a couple of drinks, and then I got back to the couch as quick as I could. I'm not a big New Year's guy, as I told you before we got on the air. I think it's amateur night. But I did see a couple friends. Me and Mama came in. She drank more than I did. I was up till 2 talking to Zach. Happy New Year, Zach, because he didn't go out either.
Okay.
Okay, but I'm going to shout out to Zach, Michael Moko, Jenna, and BOH, who I'll bring up in a bit. We're all going to Cancun on Monday to bring in the new year.
Nice.
Yep.
Very nice. I'm going to shout out Alexandra and Mitch. We had a great time at their New Year's party. Also, Radka and Steven were there as well. Big shout out. We had a lot of fun.
That's the kind of parties have. You're not even my age, and you'll realize later in life it's amateur night. You're better to stay home with that's good people. Look, at everybody you were with was good people. You might have gone out to a public place, and guess what you might have run into?
Not good things, yeah.
You know, humans at their worst.
Although there was a stampede of 50 people that came in at one point.
That always happens. But that's cool just at the time for the Happy New Year shenanigans, right?
Sure.
Yeah, that's cool. Then that would be a great New Year.
Yeah, Alexandra and Mitch's wacky neighbors.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. All right, that's all. Because that puts a little period on the sentence. Gives you like the jump from last year to this year. You know what I mean?
It was a good night, though. Do you have any shout-outs?
Yeah, next shout-out is Michigan beat Alabama. That's all that matters, you know, and we're going to get to that in a little bit, but we're going to have some shit to say about
the Rely Quest Bowl on, was that on New Year's Day?
Yeah, some kind of insurance bowl. Someone got some money. Some players didn't play. We won. That's all that mattered. We brought some hardware back to Ann Arbor. I'm good with that. You know what I mean?
Sure. I'm going to shout out, it's so obviously January 1st. That means it was Public Domain Day. So a bunch of things entered the public domain. So this year, most notably, Tintin and Popeye entered the public domain, but only those works that were published in 1929. So, for instance, Popeye at that time did not use spinach for super strength yet. Instead, he rubbed the 3 hairs of the head of Bernice the Lucky Whifflehead. Yes, really.
Oh, God. And I watch Popeye every day. You see me rocking my Popeye shirt, haven't you?
I believe so.
Yes. In any event, yeah. You know, my wife, Gail, she was in the publishing business. She knows all about that. So that means you're going to be able to use da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
No. So only Popeye works from 1929.
Oh, okay.
So the spinach is still
not good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can use Bernice the Lucky Whifflehead.
Okay. Well, that was very creative. When you think of all the old cartoons, what music was in it? Bach, Tchaikovsky, they used all those.
Oh, whatever the studio had in their library.
Yeah, but it was all 100 years old, so it was public domain. Don't forget that. That was written 15, 16, 1700. So when they're making cartoons and they were trying to put it on, what music are we going to use? Unless they could buy someone later like Herbie Hancock did shit and Henry Mancini. Yeah. But a lot of that stuff they took from public domain.
Yeah, or in the case of Warner Brothers, they had like their own huge music library that they were able to use.
Oh, yeah, they own the publishing.
Yeah, exactly. Also entering the public domain were The Maltese Falcon, the book, the English translation of All Quiet on the Western Front, Blackmail, which was the first Hitchcock movie, and Singing in the Rain, the song, not the movie.
Wow. That's going to be interesting. We're going to see that in commercials.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's coming fast. I might wipe out a few of those 80s songs that I said were commercials in the 80s, and now they freaking are on every commercial I hear. Remember that, people? In my DJ days, I say these sound like commercials. Many years later, it's come to fruition.
Yeah, so not exactly the biggest year for public domain. Like, obviously, last year was Steamboat Willie going in, but Tintin and Popeye, that's pretty huge.
Yes, I mean, it's time moving forward. I'm getting old.
So it is.
Yeah, I'd like to also make a shout-out to our soon-to-be-coming college basketball thing and just letting everybody know that Tennessee, Auburn, Iowa State, Duke, and Alabama are rounding out the top 5.
Wow.
And our two-time defending champion UConn is in 11th place, but we got a lot to go. The reason I wanted to shout out to it is because we're going to do a little college football thing there.
College basketball.
Yeah, college basketball. We'll be getting to college football. But did you notice it's Tennessee, Auburn, and Alabama They're all
SEC.
SEC team. How much is that football money pouring down into the thing? Just a thought.
Well, how long did it take for that to happen, though? Because for the longest
They've
time...
been trying to do it for years, but now the doors are open.
Because growing up is, Big 10, ACC, Big 12.
Yeah.
Big East, yeah.
But SEC is money. Money changes everything, and we're in a new age. I just thought I'd bring that up because it'll be coming up in the rest of the year.
Absolutely. Shout out to... a little bit of a somber shout out. Like to pay tribute to the Bourbon Street truck attack.
Yes.
14 dead, 35 more injured. And the piece of shit died in a shootout with the cops, injuring 2 cops.
Good, because he shouldn't have another minute to be alive, which coincided with the other explosion in front of Trump Towers in Vegas. Mm-hmm. We're not a political show, but everybody knows I like to shoot my mouth off now and again. And a lot of people I've been saying in the last year, and I read a great book. I told you about it, one of the best books I read this year. And I'm going to repeat this, and this is all I'm going to say is that's a terrible thing. It's never going to end. Don't think it can't happen in your neighborhood. Just be diligent when you're out in general public. But what was I going to say now about
the book?
What's that?
The book?
Oh, yes, the book. What I want to just say is I've been telling everybody, and I hate to say it, but when people think about what's the biggest problem in our society today, it's not necessarily taxes. It's not necessarily climate change. It's food supply chains and domestic terrorism. Keep our fingers crossed, people, and God bless all those people that have to suffer for such a terrible tragedy.
Yep. Any shout-outs from you? Any more?
One more shout-out, and I have to do this because everybody knows it. It's been on our threads. There's a big football pool that's been going on many years, started by my son, bless his soul, and it just so happens as we go into 8 weeks, week 18, there are 3 participants who are tied going into week 18 for all the enchilada, and it's a serious piece of money, just to let everybody know, okay? It says I'm not going to say it out loud. I've already made a proclamation if I happen to be there, but the 3 people at the top happen to be myself, Scott Lees, and Andrew B.O.H. Freeman, which is very interesting for my oldest son, Zach, because at work, Scott's his right-hand, one of his right-hand man. He's known B.O.H. since he's 4. And, of course, I'm his old man. So he's been hyping it up quite a bit lately. And I'm going to stick to the proclamation I made to the Pheasant Run football team, and you're going to like this, Mr. Milani. If I happen to win first place, I am going to buy the jerseys for the San Fran Sluggers baseball season, and they will come accustomed with a House That Happens logo on them.
I like that.
Okay. So big shout out there. Good luck, all you guys. We didn't hedge. Something came up. I don't know. Got confused. Let's keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully we all get a little piece of cash. Knock wood. I'm nervous.
One last shout out and good luck. One last shout out. I went to go see Complete Unknown last night, the Bob Dylan movie with Radica.
I got to go see that.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. Did you know anything about Bob Dylan, really?
A little bit.
I know a lot about Bob Dylan, and I heard it's true to form. My biggest thing about Bob Dylan, he was at the right place at the right time. Mm-hmm. But Bob Dylan's a character, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Look at that young. Look at how he was at that young. Like, what was 24 in the movie?
I think it starts off, he's 20 in 1961.
And it ends when he's around 24.
Yeah, 1965 it ends.
Yeah. At what is that? No, don't tell me because I'm going to go see it. But I know a lot about Bob Dylan, and that's an interesting period in his life. And look at all those songs that come out in that period of time. Yeah. Pretty crazy. But it's a good story, good movie.
Yeah. I didn't know about his connection at all with, like, Johnny Cash. I knew nothing about Joan Baez.
Oh, yeah. Like, he wrote a rather scathing song about her later in life.
And she wrote one about him, it looked like, too.
Well, yeah. His was called Idiot Wind, in just case anybody's interested. Like, things got a little messed up between the two. So I guess
you don't say.
So I guess that played out in the movie, right?
Yeah, their relationship.
Yeah, that's
like there was another girl he was with earlier on, and she was just like, yeah.
So let me ask you this, and I don't want to be distracting from the great historical vantage points you get to see about Bob Dylan in this movie.
Well, historical-ish.
So it's a bit of a...
Well, it's a biopic. They're obviously going to take liberties. I don't know where. Like, I don't know too much about the real story, but...
Oh, I know a lot. That's why I'm dying to see it.
Yeah.
So, what element of rom-com was in it? Okay, I'll shut up.
None.
Oh no, good.
No.
Good.
It was. I mean, there was like little moments of humor, but it's a drama.
Yeah, that's exactly. But I'm still saying there was an element that it was from what I'm starting to get in it, because I want to see it from a historical point of view, and knowing Dylan, I want to see how much of it's a couples movie I've been hearing. So it's good that you went with Radica. Because there's that element, the boy-girl thing or whatever, I don't know. I'm just going to say this. I think Blood on the Tracks is my favorite Bob Dylan album, and that came out after 1965. And Blonde on Blonde is supposed to be his great double album of all time. I can't listen to it beginning to end. Just saying.
Can't account for taste, people.
No. And shout out. I heard it's a great movie. I'll probably be seeing it before the next show.
Probably going to get a lot of Oscar buzz. Timothy Chalamet was good. He was a producer on it, too. I didn't know that going into it.
Guy did some good Dylan singing, and Dylan
he had the voice nailed down,
Yeah, it wasn't Pavarotti.
No. And James Mangold, pretty good director. He did the last two Wolverine movies.
Oh.
Yeah, Logan is one of my favorite movies of all time.
So he's bent his, like, I can do these kind of movies too, right?
Well, he did Walk the Line as well.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, good.
So
you didn't know about the Johnny Cash connection, huh?
I didn't know about that going in.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Go see it, everyone.
Go see it. So we will move this from, I guess, our intro and shoutouts to the world of college football and the playoffs, where there are no conference champions left. There are no top 4 seeds left. If you got to buy, you're out.
Oh, okay. Now we got to take a few minutes to digest this whole situation. Okay. First of all, we've said enough about our opinions about how we're going to get here right now.
I know how to fix it, by the way.
Okay, then we're gonna discuss the fixing fact from the house that happens. We will cure college football playoffs. Number one, let's start talking about what I said. Penn State, if you're 5th or a 6th, you're going to have an advantage the way that it's seeded.
Now they're playing Ohio State, though.
Oh, that's because they're going to get crushed. Okay, but we'll get to those schmucks in a minute. Anyways, the bottom line is, and I harped about this, when you're talking about a playoff of this stature, you have to respect the quality of teams that you have. Now, for the most part, except for Arizona, but we'll get to that in a second, where is the SEC now? Like, they're supposed to be the predominant football school. They got Texas left, and they're not going to be
well, Texas, and they just got there. People are still like, they're still a Big 12 team. You know?
Yeah, well, they are. They really are a Big 12 team. They've got a couple more years to go. But my point being is this. The seeding will come up dramatically here, and was it a disadvantage to have that bye?
Yes.
Okay, you know what I mean? Because everybody was sitting around for a week. So maybe they should cut it to 8.
That's not going to happen. They're going to 16.
Wow, that's even worse. Because the bottom line is, first of all, you got 17,
you got to get rid
18.
of the bye.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And the bye and the seeding, you just seed them by rank.
That's the number one right there. The seeding's going to be there. Then automatically what's going to happen is we heard all this year in this new 12-team format, it was all about your conference championship. So what we're going to be doing is have a bit of a hypocrisy going on here, because if that was one of the criterion for get there, then next year your conference championship is okay, you get in, and now we're going to put you wherever we want. You know what I mean? So what's the value? I don't know. But I mean, if it gets you a higher ranking, like the Georgia situation, you know what I'm saying? Like they beat Texas.
Well, Georgia would have been ranked number 2 regardless.
No kidding. You know what I mean? So, but then they would have had that bye. So it was a bye. Obviously, all 4 teams with a bye did not win. All
gone. Oregon, Georgia, Boise State, Arizona State.
But I was, you know what? I'm the Boise State, Arizona thing. Like, we'll get to the games now. First of all, when you're talking about,
so let's go, like, I guess in chronological order. Okay, so Penn State beat Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl, 31-14 on New Year's Eve. That was a little bit of a disappointing game. I thought Boise State I thought they'd be a contender to win that game, to be honest, but they really never were. They were behind the 8 ball from jump.
Okay, well, part of the thing is the big running game, and one thing about Penn State traditionally is they can stop the run. So the kid Jetty, who still says he should have been the Heisman Trophy winner, he rushed for 104 yards, but he had 30 carries, okay? So they were solid against the run. Boise still rolled up about 400 yards of offense, but the defense was bend that don't break, and the kid, Madsen, the quarterback, threw 3 picks. Mm-hmm. So you add all that up, Penn State playing well defensively, had enough offensively, and I think that Penn State was a better school in the first place. in my opinion. So one of the things is that should have been a reseed. Boise State should have been playing before, and if they had won then, they'd get on. Okay, here's what we are. So I'm not surprised at the Penn State score, and that's living proof right there why we should have the change, because now Penn State's already going on. And where would they have been in the final rankings? They lost to Oregon. They lost to Ohio State. And look where they are now. Now, they're going to get their cup uppance maybe. We're going to see, but we'll get that.
I think they're going to get crushed by Ohio State.
No, they're not playing Ohio State.
Are you sure?
No, we'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, sorry, Notre Dame.
Yes, we'll discuss those schmucks too. Which brings us to the next game.
Yes, Texas versus ASU, Arizona State at the Peach Bowl, which was by far the best game.
Okay, so in my opinion of that game is Texas is a bunch of schmucks too. Okay, they're up 17-3. They had a chance to get two more scores, at least one more score before halftime. They had all the opportunity in the world, and then it became the tortoise and the hare. And then when that ends up happening is, by the way, that Matthew Golden guy, that wide receiver, he's going straight to the NFL.
Yeah.
That's one thing you see certain players out there. But the thing that came up in this game is I didn't really know who this freaking Scattaboo.
Scattaboo? Oh, my God. He stole the show.
No kidding. And the guy, what did he roll up? 200-some yards on 143 yards on 30 carries?
Plus 99 receiving yards.
And 99. He was...
And 42 passing yards.
Oh, yeah.
And a passing touchdown.
Yeah, and the guy was... And who came into the game telling the press in Arizona he was the best back in the country. I never even heard of this guy. I don't know why. Where is he going? Didn't his draft stock just go up?
Oh, hell yes.
So what do you think he's going to be? Third-round pick? Because he doesn't have great speed, but he's got something in this NFL that I think works. You know when they play those two-shell safeties and cover threes in certain situations? And you know if you break through the line... there's space. Then you got a safety in a corner that's going to hit you. This is the type of guy. You know, he could even be a tight end. But you know what I mean? Is he going to be a fullback in the NFL?
I have no clue how he's going to be used.
He's a big boy.
But he's very versatile, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
So teams are obviously going to have their eye on him. Can pass as well, so he can be used for some trick plays as well.
He's going to be like the guy in New Orleans, but a better version.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about? I'm having a brain fart. The guy, he comes in on the third.
Taysom Hill.
Yeah, he could. But I think better version.
I was thinking like more of a beefier Julian Edelman, but
yeah, no, Edelman's too quick as a cat.
No,
yeah, too quick as a cat. This guy will never be that quick, but he's got enough speed to get through the line. And if you don't hit this guy right away, very interesting to see. But my opinion of the game was Texas let him back in.
Oh, of course.
The great thing about it is that quarterback. I forget his name now. For
Texas or Arizona?
Texas, the Texas quarterback.
Ewers.
Yeah, the 3 plays they made in overtime, especially the 4th and 12 to score. Where was Texas the whole game?
I don't get, especially in the second half, I
thought they should. Like they were coasting home.
They should have ran the ball a lot more. I don't get why they weren't trying to bleed the clock.
Oh, number one, I thought about that too, because then they started to make a couple more explosive plays for this Golden guy.
Got greedy. It almost bit them in the ass, but
100%. And what did he have? He had what? I don't know, 7 catches or something. He was just insane. But in any event, I thought that I agree, they should have ran the ball more and killed the clock, and they didn't. But in any event, going into the game, we thought Texas would win anyway.
Sure.
Thank God it was entertaining, which is another reason to say Arizona shouldn't have been in that position.
But they made the most out of it.
They did. They made it the best game of the 4.
And Texas, ballsy in double overtime, going for 2.
Oh yeah. Well, no, the second time they had to.
They had to?
They had to the first time. That's how it works. The first time you got to kick it. The second time you got to go for 2.
I see.
You know what I mean? So that means you kill it faster. So that's why they went for the 2. Because that means if Arizona State come down and they didn't make the 2, Arizona makes it. It's game over.
Which they weren't able to score anyways. But the CFL has the same overtime rules.
Yep.
Kind of warming up to that rule, to be honest. But
look good in this game.
Yep, that'll take us. Oh, and I know you want to mention targeting in that game as well.
Well, there's been a big controversy because it was a 3rd down and 3rd and 12, and the guy crossed the line and he got hit that way. So a lot of people said I've seen a lot of college football, and look at even Arizona's guy was sitting out half a game for targeting. You know, and he already got there. So I've seen a lot of targeting there. Sometimes I've gone yes or sometimes no. Letter of the law is above the neck and head. But this was a bang-bang play. Ball was deflected. Was he defenseless? And he didn't lead with the crown. And he didn't leave his feet. Now, my take, not my take, but the most interesting thing that I heard, and he's an experienced guy my age, Mr. Russo said, if you don't know who Mr. Russo is, look him out, said, remember,
Mad Dog.
you got it. He said that, and I've seen this many years, I know exactly what he's saying. Sometimes when a game is like that, in a play that bang bang, you can't let the referees decide the outcome of the game. You have to let the flow of the game go. Was it targeting? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Law of the land,
tough.
it was pretty tough. But I'm happy with the no call, and I don't think that's the reason Arizona lost the game. Even though it was a pivotal part, and games come down to so many plays, I just think that Texas was disappointing. Their performance in the second half, they're going to get crushed by Ohio State to play that.
Speaking of disappointing, Ohio State crushed Oregon 41-21 in the Rose Bowl. It was a game that I was pretty excited for, but obviously did not live up to the hype.
Please go back and listen to the tape. If you listen to the tape, and everybody knows my take on the Ohio State Buckeyes, we don't have to go there. I haven't got enough time to delve into that. But if you go back and check the tape, there was a certain guy on this show that said, don't be surprised if Ohio State crushes Oregon. What happened?
They crushed them.
Yes. Now, is it because Oregon had the extra time off and a bye and they sat around too long? I don't know. I expected to see this, but you know this Jeremiah Smith guy, this wide receiver for Ohio State, they're putting on wide receivers just almost as good as LSU. This kid had, 7 for 187?
Yeah, and 2 tutties.
And 2 tutties. That's what I'm saying. This guy was insane. I heard the most outrageous thing from one people I ever said, if he was in the draft right now, he'd be the number 1 pick overall.
Oh.
And
wow.
That's a bold statement. But you see the guy, he's a true freshman or whatever. He's still a year away or a sophomore, whatever. But
so he's going to play another year of college.
Oh, yeah,
then.
he has to. Oh, yeah, definitely be another year in college, which is going to be his number. He'll probably be a Heisman Trophy favorite.
Candidate next year, yeah.
Yeah.
Favorite, you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, preseason's favorite. But the bottom line is their defense was great against Oregon. Oregon tried their shit, but anyway, that game was over. But when you're going by the middle of third quarter,
34-8 at halftime.
There you go. And then Ohio State they did their thing. They didn't keep trying to go to this guy. They were on the ground. Let's just burn the clock down. Nobody get hurt.
Let's go home.
Exactly. Oregon got a couple touchdowns late. And oh, by the way, if you checked who was on the field when those scores were scored late, most of those guys were the reserves.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So I hate to say it, but I'm still saying I'm disappointed that Georgia didn't win because I thought they would, but we'll get to that right now.
I also want to mention Oregon. Horrible uniforms. I hated those chrome helmets.
Come on. Yeah.
Just wear the traditional green and yellow, guys. Come on.
That's probably one of the reasons. They're at the Rose Bowl, though. Got to amp it up.
Come on. No, Rose Bowl tradition.
Yeah, well, they got traditioned. Okay. I don't think they've ever won a Rose Bowl. I'm not a big Oregon guy. Which gets us to the final game.
Yes.
Which had so many little things about it that made you go, oh, my God. And one of them was the fact that Notre Dame won.
Yeah, so Notre Dame beat Georgia 23-10 in the Sugar Bowl. That was the game that was delayed a day in New Orleans because of the truck attack. 0-0 to start the game, but in the second quarter, Notre Dame really got rolling, even though they fell behind by a field goal. But then they got a couple field goals of their own, a touchdown, and they really never looked back.
Interesting thing about this is I want to shout out. I hate Notre
and a big kick return touchdown.
Oh,
in the
definitely.
Third quarter.
Well, this is going to be my prelude to our predictions. However, I got to look at it this way. I think this is a huge statement for Marcus Freeman as a coach. Brian Kelly left town to go to LSU, and they picked him up. At the time, he was only 35. The guy's only 38 years old. Mm-hmm. Okay, and he had to change the game. However, Notre Dame got money. They're a blue blood. They did some portal things, but here's what they did in the portal that was very interesting that I found out. They looked at their weak spots. Okay, they did get the quarterback, but they looked at their weak spots and went over specific places where they needed to get more physical. And look what happened there. They were just as physical as Georgia, who's considered one of the most physical teams in the country. You know what I'm saying? Now, another big element about that was the Gunner kid playing his first start in college in a bowl game. As soon as I heard
a playoff bowl game.
As soon as I heard that, my whole attitude, I did not know. I heard there was rumors that Beck was going to play or not. Then when I heard he wasn't, I said, this changes the dynamic. Any way you want to look at it.
Was he in the conference championship game, the starter?
Yeah, but
Okay.
But then he came out when they were winning and they brought in the other at the end or something. But he was banged up at the end. They said that if it was a regular season game, he wouldn't have played. But he was too banged up to play. Point being is this. Notre Dame was far more physical than I thought. They got a couple linebackers that go in the NFL. Okay, there's no doubt about it. what's that guy's name? That Andon Schuler guy. I hope the Lions go get him. He's a Detroit Lion, even though I hate Notre Dame. Like, he's just out there headhunting and he's killing guys. Now, here's the big question. We know now that Notre Dame can be physical. Who do they play next?
They will be playing
Ohio State. No,
Penn State.
They'll be playing Penn State. First of all, this is going to be the low. Take the under in this, because if you really look at Notre Dame's offense, what did they do in this game?
Well, the Vegas is on that too. The total is 45.5. So
okay,
you're still saying take the under?
What's that?
And you're still saying take the under on that?
Take the
wow.
Well, this is Penn State and Notre Dame. What did they score? They got that touchdown on the kickoff or the punt return. Okay. And they got one on one of the turnovers. That worked for them because it was 2 fumbles that Georgia had. So when you add up that about 14 points that they got there on other options besides their offense, what did they really score? What? The guy passed for 90 yards. They got a couple, 100, 150 yards rushing in the end, which they did. The old line showed up in the fourth quarter and pushed the game away, which you got to give them credit for against an SEC team. However, I just saying that Penn State, who's just as physical and has an ounce more defense and has already lost to Ohio State and Oregon and knows what to play with a big team, the whole country's hoping for Notre Dame. You know what I mean?
Maybe like New York and like those states.
There's just as much hate because I'm on the hate end. If Notre Dame loses, I respect Marcus Freeman. That's why I gave him the shout out. I hate Notre Dame. Come on, they're one of Michigan's
What college program don't you hate?
Make sure I have a show about that one day. College things that I hate. I've been watching a long time.
We're going to be here for 10 hours.
Oh, you know what I'm saying? But Notre Dame, you know what I'm saying? Like, no. And it's been a lot of scuttlebutt on it. Like, does the country want them or does everybody hate them? They're Notre Dame people. Come on. They're like the Dallas Cowboys of college football in some respects. And you got to give them some respect because you always ask, how come they're not in a conference?
Well, we got the answer to that.
There you go. But look at they proved their schedule. Like, they lost that one bad loss, but they haven't lost in 11 games.
They lost that first. Basically, they lost their first game of the season, and since then,
the second
undefeated.
game they beat Texas to start the season, and then they paid.
They had that loss to Northern Illinois week 2.
Yeah, and they paid that school to come play them.
Oops.
Well, there you go. It doesn't matter. It's just like right now. Is that Michigan lost to Ohio State? Really matter to Ohio State now?
No, of course not.
No, it's still in the air. Like the scuttlebutt about the coach was just insane. But now they're, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't do this. But okay, we should go on here because we're getting a little long.
Yeah, so obviously the 2 semifinals, Thursday, January 9th, Notre Dame, Penn State at the Orange Bowl. And then the other semifinal, Ohio State, Texas at the Cotton Bowl. That's January 10th, Thursday, Friday, these games. Winner of those go to the national championship in Atlanta, January 20th.
What you calling the games?
Notre Dame, Ohio State.
I'm saying Penn State and Ohio State. But I'm going to say this.
Isn't this historically a game that Penn State chokes the last 20 years?
Well, I was just going to say, here we go. Like, people were surprised they won the last game because they haven't a reputation of doing it. I think the matchup is good for Penn State. Because the fact that Notre Dame doesn't have they're not Ohio State offense. They're not Oregon's offense. And they were battling those guys, but of course they got wore down. You know what I'm saying? So, and they're just as physical. Penn State's known as a physical football team.
Sure.
Notre Dame was way more physical than I thought. I will give them that. But I'm going to lean, you know what? I should just take Notre Dame. You know why? Because there's going to be that flag in the game. You heard it here first. That phantom flag is going to come out for Notre Dame. You heard it here first.
Yep.
Alrighty.
But we're basically saying this is Ohio State's tournament to
they're
lose
going
at
to
this
crush.
point.
I hated to say it before the tape. Check the tape. Hated to say it. My prediction for the national championship, fuck.
Also, big shout out to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. That was very entertaining last Saturday. I don't know if you caught that.
No, but I caught the highlights and all the frivolous Pop-Tarts thing going around the stadium, which just made it so
They
cool.
brought back the Pop-Tart from last year, and he was like missing an eye. That was so funny.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, the marketing was outstanding. And but the party, you could feel the atmosphere in the place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's better than having an insurance company doing it. You know what I'm saying?
I completely agree. I know Cam Ward was getting his ass kicked online because he left that game after taking that record, but like, come on, people, you would have done the same.
Of course you would. I mean, he's got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, or if that was your friend, you'd be telling him like to get the record and get out.
And get out. Yeah, exactly. So that was good on his part. I wonder where his draft status is right now.
He's going to be going in the top 10.
just because.
He's a quarterback. People get horny for quarterbacks.
And how many starts has he had? We're going to go back to the Jack Cruz believing like Dan.
Are you saying this is going to be an Anthony Richardson situation?
I don't know. And look at it. We got to get to that. Anthony Richardson's not playing on Sunday.
Oh. Well, we'll get to that later. We'll keep this moving. We'll move to a little bit for Major League Baseball. What's going on with Vlad, Cruz?
Okay, we're going to be real quick about baseball because, first of all, we're 6 weeks away from spring training.
Oh, boy. I'm not ready.
What did we do with the $700 million? How many times have I read?
Well, now I hear they're pursuing Anthony Santander, which how I feel about that.
And guess what? That was our last guy. Think of all, but the left-handed reliever is still out there. The Tanner guy from San Diego hasn't signed. But so let's.
How about our infield?
Well, you know what? I'm going to look at it this way. If they don't sign Vlad now, let it rock. Because then let's see what the season does, or you sign him mid-season, or you overpay him, which is what
Just give him the bag, people.
I hope they do it before or during spring training. During spring training. Now, if Bo doesn't get his bag, that's cool. Let's run the season.
Well, he's on the trade block allegedly.
I don't believe that. Let it rock. Because here's the one mitigating factor. We got to hope if we have any modicum of offense. We've got 5 starters, bro. A lot of teams around the league don't have 5 starters. We got a modicum of bullpen. What can we improve on our bullpen during spring training to see what we got? Manoah's not going to be around anymore, but that Teneman kid's coming around, and we got.
Is Manoah officially?
He's going to be on the IR to start the season already.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Here we go again.
But the other kid,
Tiedemann.
He's looking good. He's ready.
I'm excited about him.
Exactly. And they got the other kid too. I forget that came up to Buffalo at the end, and he looked good. So I'm not saying that. Let's just get on. Baseball's going to be in our face before you know it. I just don't want another season like last year. Sign Vladdy before spring training or during spring training, or you bean counters, Shatkins, can leave town immediately because we're not enjoying your baseball experience.
Toronto Blue Jays, don't be on my 2025 most disappointing team list.
Oh, killing me already.
We'll move us over to another disappointment at Canada at the World Junior Hockey Championships from Ottawa, or Canada, I guess. Canada fell to the USA in the final game of the group stage 4-1, but even worse, they lost 4-3 to Czechia in the quarterfinal, the first time Canada has lost in the quarterfinals in back-to-back years in this tournament.
Ever. What went wrong, bro?
Oh, boy. Well, there was a lot. So for that quarterfinal game, Cameron Rekoff, one of our best players, was scratched for that quarterfinal game. But even worse, head coach Dave Cameron canceled practices on December 27th and January 1st, also canceled 2 morning skates throughout the tournament, and the team didn't even skate together between that loss to the USA in the group stage and their quarterfinal match against Czechia.
So this guy never gets a job again, right?
I hope not. This seemed like very political that he got that job to begin with, because he's coach of the Ottawa 67s, which they're not a very good team this year.
No.
So I don't get it. Like hometown advantage, they thought, or whatever. I don't know.
And there was a couple.
This is Hockey Canada at its worst.
Oh,
okay, maybe not. It's second worst. Okay, let me take that back.
Okay, I'm going to look at it this way. I think all that skating time would have made a difference because
100%.
Look at
the team didn't have any chemistry.
Yes, well they kind of sort of did.
Well, when they were down, it looked like they were like squeezing those sticks a little bit too tight. Everyone wanted to play hero. It's like, guys, like you should have one play that you go to in situations like this, and like no one seemed to know like where to be or what to do or.
Okay, so let's go back and look at the tape. There was periods during the Latvia game where Latvia could not get past center ice, like extended period, like 10, 15 minutes. They could not get past center ice. Against the Americans, the ice was slanted this way in the second period and for beginning of the third period. That one goal took the gas. We tied. We gave up the goal, blah, blah, blah. But if you look at that, in the Czech game, even though we didn't skate, imagine if we had that ice time so those guys could have learned the finish. A couple times they were looking for guys and they weren't there. A couple times they shot when they should have, which leads to your point. A little bit more chemistry. This is an odd, like a shirt tournament. You got to play together. And I thought the line changing a bit towards them was a little panicky. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like all of a sudden he started putting Cowan out there with this big scorer from this guy, and they were playing on previous lines before. But very disappointing performance, no doubt. I don't understand that coaching move whatsoever. But to say we were a terrible team is just wrong. Because at times they were the one that look at the most dumb. They got goalied a couple of times. Come on.
Yeah, but like let's not also forget that the methodology of this team was also flawed, where they left off like a lot of good players at the time were like maybe character issues, but maybe these guys who chose the team were just idiots.
Okay.
Because like there was a lot of like grinders on this team. It's like, okay, like
too many.
Yeah, it's Nagano 98.
Okay.
That's what that reminded me of, where they're thinking too much about like the roles rather than just taking the best players available. Rob Zamner, who? You know?
Oh, yeah, I got it. You know what, though? I do say it was very frustrating to watch when you seen the team dominate at levels more than any other team. Like, they were never, they got dominated a few times, but they were never suffocated like they've suffocated other teams. And that's the disappointment right there for me.
And I mean, like, the lack of discipline in key situations was
the
also
penalties were insane. Now, I do that last penalty where the Czech got the power play. Oh,
that was the backbreaker.
Oh yeah, and you know what? That was that when you seen the replay, like they went to look at that to see if they're going to call it 5. The Czech guy was just as bad as the guy that hit him. Because when you seen the collision, the way it went down, it was because that guy should have learned to skate better or something. You know what I mean? So I thought it was a sketchy penalty at best.
Well, the way they call things in IHF is different than the NHL. Let's not forget that.
With a American, Swedish, and who else ref was out there? Just saying. But that was what was left in the game? 2.5 minutes. Like, come on, you're gonna on it. Like, and that was a lot of incidental contact in that. Okay, the Canadian was generating or perpetrating the contact, but it wasn't severe as I thought. When you seen the replay and how they both went down, I went, wow, they called that. Any event, good luck next year in Sweden.
All I'm going to say is that we've been spoiled for a lot of us saying like, oh, this is like Canada's losing their place in the top. Like, no,
stop it.
We're spoiled by that run from 2005 to 2009. That run basically stood alone besides like basically post USSR as like unprecedented, right?
No doubt.
Just because we haven't been dominant again doesn't mean Canada's losing their place at the top. We still produce more better hockey players than any other country.
Yep.
It's an annual tournament with a high roster turnover. Let's not get carried away. Yep. We're not going to win any year. If anything, it should be called into question. It's the methodology of making this team. I agree. Given that those high draft picks weren't invited.
I agree totally. You know what I'm saying? It was obvious out there. Like, we had firepower, but we didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And another thing, I was out there. I'm glad they didn't give up. They didn't show the shot attempt numbers because I would have thrown something through my TV set. You know what I mean? Because we had a lot of 9-irons going around. Like, another thing is, that's my bitch about all the hockey. They make them play a certain way. You play a certain system. You skate a certain way. Don't they stay after practice and shoot the puck and see if they can hit the net?
I don't know.
It's
Coach Cruz will be taking over the junior program next year.
Pandemic from juniors on the way up. I seen it in the game the other night. L.A. and Edmonton flying around, and what were they doing? Pucks were flying everywhere. Goalies were having smokes.
We'll keep this in hockey, women's hockey, though, to the PWHL, where, first of all, a big shout-out to Natalie Spooner for winning the Female IHF Player of the Year award, although there is still no word on her return back to game action, unfortunately, as she recovers from surgery. But the big news of the week was Toronto and Ottawa making a blockbuster of a trade, the biggest trade in the PWHL's early history. Toronto getting defenseman Savannah Harmon and forward Haley Skamura from Ottawa for defense Jocelyn Larocque and forward Victoria Bach. So I think this is very significant. Toronto gets rid of Jocelyn Larocque. I mean, she's been a mainstay for Canada on the national squad, but she's getting up there in age. And we get Savannah Harmon, who is a very young, very promising offensive defenseman.
Oh, I think it was cool. Like, I didn't realize that at first when I seen the age difference. It was obviously a good move for Toronto. Not we're knowing really the strength of any of these teams yet because
haven't played enough games.
I haven't played enough games to get there. And Toronto is back at the bottom, aren't they?
Well, we're in second last right now. Boston is in last. But Toronto lost that game right after that trade to Ottawa, ironically, 2-1.
Yes, and and I did see the third period.
Yeah.
It was a pretty aggressive game. Like, I should be paying more attention to the game, but my take on it right now is just got to watch a little bit more. The interesting thing about fact that we're bringing up this trade is, if this was an NHL trade, it would have been the first thing on probably
Sports Center,
on the Sports Center because it was that significant. But we'll keep our eye on things.
Yeah, it feels like Toronto's waiting a little bit for Natalie Spooner to come back. I mean, it's their best player, right? So
let's see what happens. Don't wait too long.
No,
Don't
exactly.
be the Philadelphia 76ers.
Okay. We'll move this over to our soccer report, where let's get started in the Premier League. Man City finally back in the win column with a 2-0 victory at Leicester City, despite losing the possession battle. Erling Haaland had a 74th minute insurance marker. Liverpool smacked at West Ham 5-0, 22 shots, 13 on goal, held West Ham to none on goal. And Salah still without a contract for next season, so that's going to be an interesting story to keep an eye on. Chelsea, a big loss at Ipswich Town 2-0, despite 76% possession and 20 shots, although they only managed to get 5 on goal. So Ipswich Town playing some good defense, credit to them.
Yes.
Manchester United lost at versus Newcastle, 2-0. Man U with most of the possession, 10 shots, only 1 on goal. Arsenal beat Brentford 3-1, 5 shots on goal. You look at the table now.
Arsenal
Arsenal is in second place right now.
I got that. Shouldn't Manchester United be regulated to like irrelevant? No, there's too many games left, right?
So they can still move up. I mean, they got it.
They got to get a run.
Yeah,
they got to get a run. But Liverpool is
they're kind of stuck in no man's land. Like not bad enough to get relegated, not good enough to make it to Champions League next year.
Exactly. But Liverpool is the force, are they not?
Yeah, they have a game in hand. They have a game in
Yes.
hand of everyone else, and they're still up on Arsenal by 6 points.
And not only that, they play Man City one more time, right?
Liverpool, probably.
I'm looking forward to that game. Liverpool is big shout out again, Mr. Curran. We're giving your Liverpool team some props.
Yeah, so they are at Man City on February 23rd.
Oh, that's a ways away, but
Yeah.
we'll circle that on the map. But Liverpool's having an amazing season.
And Nottingham Forest right now sitting in
Out
third
of
place.
nowhere, the Robin Hood guys
Yeah.
should have jumped on their bandwagon, but I'm going to stick with the Gunners.
And my Chelsea slipping back to fourth place, although still a lot of time left to go, so no time to panic.
Exactly.
In Serie A, Juventus had a great game against Fiorentina. I actually watched that one. It was a 2-2 back-and-forth affair. Milan and Roma tied 1-1 immediately after Milan sacked their manager, Paolo Fonseca, after only 6 months on the job.
They're rough. They're rough on coaches. Is the Italian league like the NHL of coaches?
I guess.
I might fire a coach. It's in Italy.
Yep.
How long has he been there?
6 months.
Yeah. That's pretty ruthless.
Well, it's extremely disappointing, so I mean, I can see
they
why.
don't. Nobody waits. You know what I mean?
Inter got the 3-0 win at Cagliari, holding them to just 1 shot on goal. Napoli won 1-0 versus Venezia with 25 shots, only 8 hit the net, though. Atalanta got a 1-1 draw at Lazio with a late goal by Marco Bresciani. You look at the table for
They're hanging in there, aren't
City
they?
up. Atalanta and Napoli tied for number 1 right now, 41 points. Inter just a point back with the game in hand. Lazio 6 points back, so they might be out of title contention, but it's going to be a big battle for the last Champions League spot between them, Fiorentina, and Juventus by the looks of it. Maybe Milan can get back in there with the new coach, but we'll see. But obviously, we mentioned last week the Supercoppa Italiana, January 2nd through 6th from Riyadh in Saudi Arabia.
So those games already started?
So the semifinals were the last 2 games. The finals are going to be on Monday.
Oh, okay.
So the Inter beat Atalanta 2-0. Then Milan beat Juve at 2-1. In Pulisic's return, he scored a 71st minute penalty to tie. And Federico Gatti, unfortunately, had a bad bounce. Was a cross that deflected off him into his own net to give Milan the late winner at the 75th minute. So it's going to be, both games were fairly even and good games. Like you look at the stats, you look at the highlights, were both good ones. But the final is going to be a Milan Derby, Inter Milan, Monday at 2 p.m.
I was going to see if I can take a look at that. I wonder what the money they're getting.
Should be pretty good.
It should be damn good money. Anyways, you know what I've always heard from many, many years ago? That Juventus of Turin plays a defensive style looking
Very much
for
so.
break, okay? I just noticed that they're in the hunt because they got 11 ties. That in soccer, that's good. That keeps you always in the position.
Well,
But-
it's good and bad.
Yeah,
you
because-
want the 3 points.
Yeah, oh, definitely. But the fact that they can maintain that point, like there's nobody else even close. A couple teams got 7, if that. But 11 draws. And I've looked at all the leagues about who does this, and their style is obviously what keeps them in year after year after year after year.
Well, although with the years that they were dominating the league, like they were getting wins, like the draws
because they had better scoring.
Yeah.
Well, they play like that style. Like to me, and that's what I told about when I was much younger, and guys were trying to explain why these games are so big. Was they said these guys are the bend that don't break, and they look for the seams and away they go. And
classic like counterattack team.
Yeah, exactly. And when you look at 11 ties, I guess a few counterattacks didn't come their way.
Yeah. And their striker could be on the move too. Vlahovic, he's in a lot. Obviously, we're in transfer season right now, and he's been in a lot of the rumors. Although we'll move this on to La Liga. Real Madrid topped Valencia 2-1 on the road with late goals from Modric and Bellingham. After Vinicius got a red card in the 79th minute for pushing the goalie.
What?
A 2-hand shove.
Really?
The goalie fell a little early, but a little easy, I should say. But, I mean, you still shove the goalie with 2 hands. That's a red card every time.
Oh, of course it is. I'm going to have to go look for that highlight.
Yeah, just go on the La Liga YouTube page. It'll be there.
Okay, that's right. In any event, was it a petulant shove?
It was, I don't know, something out of frustration. I don't know if the goalie said something, but either way, he was out of the game.
I bet you that goalie went down like a bag of rocks.
He basically did. Real Madrid overtook Atletico Madrid for lead of La Liga. They have 43 points. Atletico, though, 2 points behind with the game in hand. Then Barcelona, 5 points back of Real Madrid now. So not doing too well in La Liga lately, although I kind of feel like they're focusing on Champions League.
I'm not worried about that. They'll be at the end. Atletico Madrid is a surprise team of the season, though, in that league, right? No? Yes?
No, they're traditionally like top 3 team.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay, because I heard a lot of guys are giving them props on a couple of the soccer shows I was listening to. And they've got a couple big-name guys, right?
Yeah, Griezmann is on that team, the French striker.
Yeah, they said Well, we're going to see, but I still say Barcelona in the end. They'll be there.
And they will also be playing the Supercopa de España. Atletico Bilbao, Real Madrid, Mallorca, and Barcelona are heading to Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
Jeddah, specifically, January 8th through 12th. They'll have their own Super Cup there. And the rest of the league is back January 10, 11, 12.
Man, the Saudis got cash. Yeah. They got cash. It's unheard of. That's like taking the Lakers, the Celtics, and who else? Taking them over for play a 4-game. That would be better. That's better than whatever that cup they have.
Oh, NBA Cup?
Yeah, let's send them to Saudi Arabia. Make some extra money. Why not? Money changes everything. Add some gambling.
Why not? So Bundesliga, they're still off for another week, but Ligue 1 is back this weekend. We'll talk a little bit about those next weekend.
But Bayern Munich is they're
not going anywhere. Put it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll move us over from the pitch to the hardwood, where we got the NBA and our newest edition of our power rankings.
Okay, here we go.
You want to start, or you want me to?
I will, because I actually took the time to figure this out, because I would be a little bit more diligent. I'll start it off.
Okay.
Number 10.
Oh, you did a top 10 for the NBA.
I did a top 10 for the NBA, just so I'll get your top 5. It will be in my top 5 to 10. I had the Magic at number 10.
Okay.
I have, I don't know if number 9, I would have top 9. Clippers, I think that was supposed to be the Mavs, because I had left them out. Okay, Magic, the Mavs. I have the Clippers at 8. I have the Nuggets at 7. I have the Milwaukee Bucks at 6. And here's my top 5. New York Knicks, number 5. Memphis Grizzlies, number 4. Boston Celtics, number 3. Cleveland Cavaliers, number 2. And led by our great Canadian and the leading candidate for MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Number 1 team in the NBA is OKC, who just broke the New York Knicks 9-game winning streak last night in their house. What a game.
Wait, so did you have Memphis 5?
I had Memphis at number 4.
Okay, so no Houston on your list.
Oh, that's who that was. Okay, sorry, because I put the Cavs twice. Rockets were at number 9. I knew something because I threw the list away.
Number 9, wow. I had Houston as my honorable mention, number 6.
Okay.
Number 5, I have the Memphis Grizzlies. Mm-hmm. Number 4, the New York Knicks. Okay. Number 3, Boston. Number 2, Cleveland. And number 1, OKC. So very similar list that we have, at least our top 5.
Okay, so you know the great thing about it is maybe it's finally coming around. OKC and the Knicks last night was the closest to an old school basketball game I've seen in a long time. This being said, but they're still firing up the threes. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. They're still firing up the threes, but when they weren't going down, everybody went inside. And they banged and they played D. And it was a close game until what? The Knicks were up by 2 or 3 with 4 minutes left. And then OKC went on an 8-0 run in about, 2.5 minutes. Shea was outstanding. He did a move. Look at the highlights at the end of the game. He did a move like a Tootsie Whirl in the air, one-hander, and a 3, drove by 2 guys in the paint. It was unbelievable. And defense was both ends, was crazy. The Knicks, when they bring back Mitchell Robinson, they may rise in the standings because they're a good basketball team.
Well, I have to keep an eye on that. So obviously,
they're the only team I see that could beat the Celtics right now in 7 games, because I'm still not saying that the Celtics aren't going to the finals, okay?
Better than Cleveland, do you think? They have a better chance?
Oh, yeah, I do, because it's the crew they have. They got a bunch of dogs. They got Dort. They got Bane. Holmgren's going to be coming back after the All-Star break.
I thought you were talking about Cleveland.
Wait. Oh, Cleveland's going to be there. They're going to give him a battle, but I just think when it gets down to it, the thing about the Celtics is those fuckers have too many three-point shooters. Like when they get it, they go. They'll beat you. They'll just keep making shots. Like they wore down Minnesota the other night, even though Minnesota is the biggest disappointment in the NBA to me. No chemistry in that team. You know what I'm saying?
Let's get to LeBron's Christmas comments.
Okay, so LeBron, we got to give him credit though, because the ratings went up for the day. Okay,
the highest ratings they've had in 5 years.
Okay,
so basically since the Golden State, they're tied to their era.
Okay, so they were going head-to-head with the NFL.
Yes.
NFL ratings didn't budge. Okay, didn't budge. However, for him to say Christmas is NBA Day, traditionally it is.
It is.
But the next 3 years it ain't going to be, because it just so happens that Christmas is going to be Friday next year, Saturday the year after. You know what I mean? So it'll be a few years away. Then Christmas will be on a Monday. 3 years from now? So the NFL is going to be freaking knocking on your door for the next 2 years, LeBron. I like the way he said, and thank God the Laker-Warrior game was outstanding.
Yeah.
On the day.
Yeah.
Very good game. And the ratings were up. They
exactly.
You know,
it's like golf. You're playing against yourself. You don't no one's gonna compete with the NFL in regards to ratings, right?
No, so I mean, but you got to give LeBron credit. I mean, he's one of the faces of the league. You know what I'm saying? And they were last game of the day, weren't they? Or second last game of the day?
Second last, yeah.
Yeah, and it was highly entertaining. And all the games we've seen that were just duds this year are just insane. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Speaking of the Lakers, they made a blockbuster of a trade, trading D'Angelo Russell. Once again, they get rid of D'Angelo. He's going back to Brooklyn for Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton. I don't know too much about Shake Milton, but they get a good defender in Finney-Smith.
Oh, 100%. That's what they needed. They need more defense on the perimeter because everyone's firing threes. Yeah. So I think it's a trade for both teams if D'Angelo, whoever plays up to his potential. Guy's got skills, but this is exactly what the Lakers are needing. Not saying that the Lakers are going to suddenly be like world beaters or anything like that. No, definitely not. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say it here right now. My most hope to belief, after all is said and done in that gauntlet in the West, I want to see Memphis and OKC in a best of 7 for the conference finals. That's what I'm hoping for now.
Might get that.
Yes, that's what I'm hoping for. But it's something that the Lakers need.
Yeah, I would say for Brooklyn too, this is a good trade because like D'Angelo having a player like him that could get them back into the play-in.
That's right, because they're such a scrappy team. That was a bad loss. They consider that. I was watching the Brooklyn feed, and that was a bad loss because they lost to Toronto. What kind of respect
broke
do we
that
get?
Huge losing streak that the Raptors had.
But what respect do we get around the league besides none?
We have one road win.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? It's just it's insane.
It's bad.
That
was their first win since December 3rd versus Indiana. Oh, yeah, that was an NBA Cup game. Oh, yeah. That's how long ago that was.
Okay, don't even, you're killing me. Anyways, I'm just saying that I think the West Gauntlet will continue. However, it's all about the load management and...
your favorite.
Yeah, and when your players are in the lineup or not. For example, Sacramento is scrambling for their life. Okay?
Agreed.
Last night, Memphis was in there, one of the hottest teams in the NBA, and they puked it up. This Sacramento. Oh, by the way, Ja Morant didn't play. So you know what I mean? Like, is that a night off game? Like, I'm not saying it's load management and the kid bangs himself around the boards like no tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you just say, like, you almost see the way, like, I'm not saying it's a chess game, because if it is, it's a shitty game. But how they move players in and out of the lineup at certain times against certain teams, and able to enable the look for you're going to get in April. It's kind of weird like that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Hence the reason I got the Clippers up there too, because Kawhi is due back any day, and they say he's looking great in practice. And Kawhi's Kawhi. So that just puts a standard up of your team immediately. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this West wildcard, or the West just playoff race in general, is getting pretty wacky. Phoenix has recently fallen out of even
injuries.
They've lost their last 3. Although Minnesota, who's just ahead of them, has been kind of streaking in the wrong direction as well. They've lost their last 2.
Okay, when you get to the play-in and stuff like this, I'm not going to say that's a scramble that I'm not even going to bet on. But I'm going to say this: Dallas is in a bit of trouble because Luka's not in the lineup, and they haven't won since he's been out. Have they?
Yeah, they lost their last 4.
Yeah, so they haven't lost their road. So I expect the Clippers to move into that 6 and stay there handily. Told you the Nuggets will get their shit together. Not that they're a powerhouse.
Are they?
What's that?
Are they good? They're like, it's same old ship for the Nuggets.
Yeah, but I think they're going to be fine.
I think they're lining up for a first round playoff exit.
I don't think that'll happen. I think they're too good, and they're getting their defense back. Malone's got them on defensive end, so they're going to be okay. You know what I'm saying? What are they? Well, they were 7-3, but they lost the last one, so they're back to 6-4. The Lakers are sitting in 4th place, which I just keep thinking, what are they doing?
That's surprising.
You're damn right it's surprising. So it looks like they're going to be pretty well in the playoffs. But of course, everybody knows the most surprising team in the West is the Houston Rockets. I've been talking them up forever. I guess I should have had them a little higher in my rankings, but I've seen what they've been doing. You know what I mean? They're 6-4, and they've lost a couple of. When they get up against the really big teams, they don't quite win enough. So one of the other big things in the NBA right now is the Jimmy Butler situation.
Well, a couple more things for the West playoffs. So San Antonio's been rising their heads up lately.
Oh, they're trying to, but I think the experience is going to kill them. They're like the Rockets last year.
It's going to kill them when, like, down the stretch?
Down the stretch, I just don't think they have enough. Thank God they got
even with the veterans they have on that team.
Harrison Barnes and Chris Paul are amazing on that team. They direct traffic and everything. It's just sometimes the kid that shoots, I think his name is Daniel Nwemby, like, the way they play sometimes weirds me out. Like in this way, when they lost the game on Christmas Day, when Wemby's having the game of his life, he comes down, he fires up a 3 with 18 seconds to go and no flow in the game. The other team comes back, scores a 3, steals the ball, gets 5, up by 8, game over. So I think San Antonio's got some learning to do. Like I could see Chris Paul looking him on the floor. Like and I'm not a Chris Paul fan, but he's a field general on the floor.
Of course.
And I've loved Harrison Barnes. Like when I was in college, God bless my son, I said to him, because he played for North Carolina, because he was a top pick. It wasn't one of the biggest draft years. I said, this guy going to play 15 years in the NBA. He's going to be a great rotation player, and you want him in your lineup. And he did win a ring with Golden State.
He did.
You know what I mean?
He's been a great guy since.
Oh, yeah. No.
Of course, he's kind of played with some bad Sacramento teams.
Yes, because he took the money. But I mean, you got to get your bag anyway, and he already had the ring.
Well, he got traded. They had to make space for Durant.
There you go. My take on the matter, though, is I would like to see Sacramento San Antonio in the playoffs, just so people get exposed to like the old school, new school combination of players and see where it's going to go.
I think they'll make the play-in. It's whether or not they're going to be one of those final 8.
I do think they're going to make the play-in. Now, there's a lot of games to go. Anyone who's played 35 games, so they got almost 50 games to go. Does that mean that some of these teams are going to right the ship? Like Minnesota's got way too much talent to be this shitty. Like,
I still wonder if they're going to look for a trade.
I have no idea who's got trading what, because if you're going to talk, okay, we'll go to the East before we talk about the Jimmy Butler thing. In the East, I think I hate to say it, but I think those top 3 teams are staying there, and everybody else is going to fight their way. I don't think Milwaukee has any problem staying in the top 6 because they're too good, and they could.
Well, and the teams below them
are
not very good.
Freaking garbage. People are starting yakking about Atlanta. They got bitch slapped last night.
Yeah.
So, and lost 2 in a row every time they're
they're too much of a one-way team.
Exactly.
They don't play enough defense.
Yeah, they're a little bit like Indiana last year, who is probably the second most disappointing team after Minnesota, because look at where they are.
Well, they're a game below Atlanta.
Exactly, and they're 1 game under 500. Would you say about that? And look at, basically, Detroit's tied with them.
Yep.
Who were the laughingstock of the league last year. I think Detroit's going to be strong enough. They got enough character that they're going to be able to stay into the play-in, but they won't do nothing else.
I think so too. I think if Philly knocks out anyone, it's going to be Chicago.
Exactly, because we got to say Philly's going to do something, but they got their asses kicked by Golden State the other night.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And they had their full lineup to play against Golden State, which I'm saying Golden State's in big trouble if they think they're going to make the playoffs.
They're back in the 9 seed, though.
Yes, they're hanging in there. That's
Well,
what I'm saying.
and if Minnesota and Sacramento and Phoenix continue to puke it up, that could be enough for them to make it in by default, right?
I say Phoenix got too much talent. It now comes down
Injuries, though.
Yes, but I mean, if you get together by April, once you get in, I don't think Durant and Devin Booker care where they are in the seedings. They're going to beat anybody who's in front of them. They have that attitude, which is good to have. You know, same with Luka and Kyrie you had last year. Bring them on, let's see what happens, kind of deal. So I think they're going to go in there. But the big move in the NBA right now is what?
Jimmy Butler suspended 7 games by the Heat after Butler said that he probably wouldn't be able to find on-court joy again in Miami.
So it's a 7-gamer, right? So he'll be gone.
And they're going to be looking to trade him, I imagine, before that suspension's over.
22 days before. Now,
it's a long time to figure out a trade partner.
Okay, now Jimmy Butler to me is the good, the bad, the ugly. First of all, when he was in Chicago with the Joakim Derrick Rose day, he was that rotation player that became Jimmy Playoff guy because he's so hardcore. So we know what he does. He changes your culture. We know what he went through in Minnesota when he was cussing out Cat and Wiggins. We know his character.
Carried the Miami Heat twice to the finals.
There you go. So he is a player. And I agree with him in the fact that he's 35 years old and Father Time is undefeated. However, you're a professional. And I'm not saying because he's too much of a gamer, hardcore, all-around guy to say that he's a bit of a diva. But, I mean, look at every night he comes on the floor, he comes out with his hair braided to a color of a team that he's talking about going to. Okay? And you know what I mean? And you go, oh, okay, what's going on there? Now, the next thing he does is he's very unprofessional to go to the microphone and put that out in public. Like, do you want a soap opera like that? Like, aren't these guys supposed to be professional? I mean, they spend enough time bitching at the referee all game anyway. So, like, we know that you're contrarian.
Well, it is a diva move. Like, it's him basically forcing them to be like, no, trade me now.
Especially when you got an old school guy like Pat Riley who just 10 days ago said Butler ain't going nowhere. And it gets back to the old thing. Like, who respects who here? You have a contract. Okay, you know what I mean? You're getting $49 million a year, Jimmy Butler. $49 million. You signed on the line. Now, one of the arguments is this. They got to the finals, and look what Boston did. They went out and got, the year before, where they got True Holiday, and they got Porzingis. What did Miami do? Exactly. So, and he thought that something was going to be made. They were in on Durant. It didn't work there. They were in on a couple other guys that didn't work there. Well, who's that? That's on management, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess.
So, I don't know who to condone, who to curse. But Jimmy Butler, where is he going to go?
So, I came up with 6 trade candidates.
Okay.
3 of them, I think, are more likely than the other 3, but we'll go into that. So, the top 3... I would say are Golden State, Milwaukee, and Phoenix. Because you got to think money in, money out, right?
Okay.
So Golden State, I forgot the player who they would have to be trading. Maybe
Wiggins.
Wiggins and Draymond?
Yeah, no, Draymond's staying.
Okay, so Wiggins would be going back to
Miami.
And
Kuminga would be in on that deal. Money for money. You know what I'm talking about? So that situation rears its head.
Milwaukee would be Middleton. That would have to be on his way out. I'm not sure if Giannis would put a stamp on that, but... Either way.
Right now, Middleton, Butler in that lineup with Giannis and Damon and the guys Lopez and the workers they got around him in Milwaukee looks like they're rising. Yeah, that would be a good go.
Phoenix, it would have to be Bradley Beal going out.
And he's got no trade contract, so that's...
so he'd have to want to go to Miami.
Yeah. Well, no, the taxes, and they're an organization that's always in on the hunt. So it's not like he's going to Washington again.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
But the other 3 teams that I think are less likely, but have either the space or whatever. These teams are more cap space wise. They can do it. San Antonio, Indiana, Detroit.
I say, he won't go to any of those teams you just named those 3. The best landing spot for him, in my opinion, and he's got another year to get player option on, and they could possibly be there then, is what if Jimmy Butler went to the Houston Rockets? They got some money. They got some movement. All their kids are under contract, and they need more money.
I looked at their situation. It would be very tough for them to make that trade work. They would have to trade Fred, basically, and they're not.
No, they got
Fred.
it. Yeah, they need Fred, but I mean, they
don't have any other contracts that they can really move out to make it work.
Well, they'd pay the tax. Houston's a rich team. For the
no, they don't have space. I'm saying unless they move the contract out.
Wow. But I'd say that'd be the best fit for them because within 2 years, I think that Houston with those young guys could be definitely a contender for the Larry O'Brien, not just a conference final, because they've advanced well. Good young team. But anyways, it's just a soap opera that continues in the NBA, which is the biggest drama of reality TV on TV as far as I'm concerned. And I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see what's happening. I know he's not coming to Toronto.
Oh, what gave that away?
God bless our Toronto Raptors, who have still not have played a one game with their starting five this season.
Oh, man. Let's hope that changes in a hurry.
Yes, in a big way. In a big way. Anything else you want to bring up about the NBA right now?
No,
I think that's enough because those little bitches have been bitching too much.
We'll move this on to the ice, where we'll get to start with the NHL and our top 10 power rankings. Shall I begin?
Yes, you can.
Number 10, the New Jersey Devils.
Whoa.
Number 9, the Minnesota Wild.
Okay.
Number 8, the Edmonton Oilers. Number 7, a team that has been on a roll lately, the Colorado Avalanche. Number 6, the Florida Panthers. Number 5, the Toronto Maple Leafs.
One thing we got right.
Number 4, the LA Kings. Number 3, the Washington Capitals. Number 2, the Winnipeg Jets. And number 1, the Vegas Golden Knights.
Okay, so I messed something up here. Because where's my other sheet? Okay, so I'm going to have to make an adjustment here, okay? So I'm going to say my number 10 is the Dallas Stars.
Really?
Yep. I'm saying with all their
I don't think they've been playing that well.
Number 9, Colorado Avalanche.
Only 9.
Yep. Got to get that goal differential up a little bit more. A little bit more down the road.
6 wins in a row. Come on.
They're coming. Number, what would I say?
9. You're at 8 now.
The New Jersey Devils.
Okay.
Number 7 is the Edmonton Oilers.
Okay.
Number 6 is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Number 5 is the LA Kings. Number 4 is Washington. Number 3 is the Jets. Number 2 is Florida.
Wow.
I'm not budging from Florida. And, of course, number 1 is Vegas. We're sticking with Vegas. I'm not budging from Florida. I just think they're skating through. They win when they want. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? Then they take nights off. I watch a lot of.
That could be a little dangerous, though.
But they played a lot more games than everybody else, so I think they're doing their own weird sort of load management. Do you think Florida is afraid to play anybody in a 7-game series?
No.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
But I'm just saying that the mentality can catch up to you.
They got 9 guys. They're not looking for as much depth scoring as everybody else because every line scores. Their fourth line's a little weak. But they got the big defensemen and they're all hitting, and the guys that they brought in are now acclimated to the system that they're playing with that hard forecheck and hit everything in front of Bobrovsky. I still think they're going to be there. And who's the other team that only plays that way better? Vegas. You know what I mean? There's people trying to imitate them. But come on, they're unbelievable. Now, I have to give huge respect to the Capitals because I haven't been giving them the time of day that I should have. What worries about me is that who is their go-to guy? You'd like to think it's Ovechkin, but he's a little long in the tooth. So what I think is happening with them...
But he's still scoring at an incredible rate, though.
Okay, but we'll have to see because it's all going to be about the playoffs. What about them is Washington is number 2 in the league in scoring. But do they have a top 10 guy in the scoring race? No.
They do it by committee.
Oh, yeah, all up and down the line. Their defense is very good, and they've got a high-scoring defense that scores. And the key thing here, which you've preached to me for the last couple of years, and I've been watching it very closely, is your special teams better be ready for the playoffs. And Washington is one of the 2 or 3 teams who have top 10 in offense and defense.
Oh, what's one of the things that's biting your New York Islanders? Dead last in power play and penalty kill.
There you go. You know, and look what they do last night. Lose 2-1. You know what I mean? The other night, the last 2-1. Why? Because their penalty kill was okay, but the Leafs did score a power play goal. You know what I'm saying? So when you do those percentages, that's how I started looking at the teams. Now, I'm thinking that the Winnipeg Jets, I was not giving them the love I thought I should be giving them, but look at them. They seem to be doing it. I still say that what's going to bite them in the ass in the playoffs is they got to get a little bit more bang.
Mm-hmm.
You know
they're
what
a
I mean?
small team.
Yeah, Morrissey's having a season. Like, I don't think he'll be a Norris Trophy winner, but as an all-around defenseman, I think he's been outstanding. And the front end of Winnipeg, they skate like the wind. Okay? Don't give Hellebuck the Vezina yet, though. Please, stop it.
No, don't you dare say the race is over. We're not even halfway through the season.
Exactly. And if I hear it one more time, I'm just going to puke. I mean, he's a great goaltender. Let's not.
You can give him the halfway Vezina.
Please,
or
come
whatever.
on, stop it. Shut up. Because like I said, a lot of those games, he was doing nothing, which gets back to my old argument about save percentage. You know what I mean? I know we talked about this. It's greater over a period of time, but sometimes I want the save. You know what I mean? And some games you notice it's the save. You know what I mean? And over a period of time, like you said, if my goaltender's got an 850 save percentage, I'm concerned. You know what I'm saying? But if he's hovering around 9 to 9, 10, whatever the case may be, look at how many shots on goal. Got to remember that.
Well, 9-10's okay. That's like above average now.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Yeah. But I mean, it's like
even like if just a 900 goalie, I'm like, I'm keeping an eye on you.
Okay, but I'm going to be okay because sometimes that says you made the save. Look how many shots you faced. Okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you have the 6-1 game. And there goes, you're out the window. Okay, it takes you 4 games to bring you back. You know what I mean? Ask Montalbo about that. Mm-hmm. Okay, you know what I'm saying? But in any event, and that's why when I'm looking at the top 10 in the league right now, Toronto, solid. You know what I mean? Solid goals against average, hovering around top 10 in scoring, but they definitely need more scoring.
Where are you going to put the guys, though?
Okay, so let's just...
Do I just get to the Leafs now?
Yeah, let's do the Toronto Maple Leafs.
So scoring depth, you think, is an issue? I think it's actually been, if it holds up, it's pretty solid.
Right now.
Like the Domi, McMahon, Robertson, third line.
Okay, here you go. So that's my point. Now, what Berube's got to do is, no more line switching, guys. Let those, like that line should be out. You notice, like I said to you, and this is what's paid off in Montreal, Dvorak, Gallagher, and Anderson. They played together all year. They've been on the ice for some key situations. They made some great defensive plays. They set up some goals for us. But that's not my point. Don't be screwing the guys around. Now, we know Austin Matthews is coming back tonight. That's going to be who's going to play with who. Okay.
I imagine he's going to be him, Marner, Nyes back
right
together.
Right off the bat, because then you can go right back to Tavares, Pacioretty,
and Nylander.
And Nylander. So that's your top 9. The thing is, I'd say Ryan Reeves got to spend more time in the press box.
Well, I noticed they're only bringing him out against teams lower in the standings lately.
I've noticed that too. Like if it's a playoff team, he's in the box.
Yeah.
Which is a smart move because you still.
Otherwise, it's Lorentz, Dewar, and I guess Camp.
Yeah, Camp, and they need Camp is a guy that's.
I love David Camp.
I
questioned that contract at the time, but I think he's worth every penny
because he doesn't. My age-old thing that I'm saying about he does things that analytics don't show. They don't jump in the box.
And he's a great skater.
Oh, and a great face-off guy, great penalty killer. All of the above. So I expect him in the lineup every night. And I don't expect him to score 20 goals or anything. So I don't know who he's going to be playing with. But sometimes you notice that close to the end of the game, he's out there checking a top center.
Yep.
Like all of a sudden in the nowhere, Kemp's out there with Marner and somebody.
Oh, he is definitely a diamond in the rough that the Leafs have found. Thank you, Chicago, for letting him go.
100%. Just takes a little more time to develop. Now, just gives me up to this thing here, and I'm going to bring it up again because I don't know if he's going to be around next season, but is Marner again got to be a Frank Selke candidate again this year?
His name's been getting more and more buzz as the season's gone on.
Look at how many.
Though, like at the same time, though, being a winger fairly unfairly works against him.
Okay, if you're going to go take a look at what he's been doing this year, come on.
I'm with you. I'm with you. But in terms of the voting, being a winger works against him because we've been through this. Who's the last winger to win the Selke? Yuri Lennon in 2003. Yeah, it might as well be Bob Gainey.
Okay, but no, my point is this. He's doing too much on the ice defensively to not be ignored without it affecting his production. That's huge. Isn't that why we got Garbasov and Barbashov and all them freaking guys out there? They do it. They score pretty well.
What are you talking
The guy from Florida that always wins.
Barkov. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. And they mention guys like Pasternak. Pasternak's not having no great season.
No.
He doesn't have a center, and who cares? It's Boston. Fuck them. But anyways, look at Mitch Marner is 7th in the league in scoring, okay? He's out there all the time. His plus minus, I'm not worried about it because it's about 0, but He's always on the ice in defensive positions. He blocks shots. He kills penalties. I don't see any reason and all the other guys have been nicked up. So who you just say one of them? Lundell's starting to get some freaking love because he plays for Florida. He's only been there 1 year. They got
for the Selke?
I heard his name come up because Barkov's not having quite the same season. I go, come on, what's Lundell done?
I don't think Lundell's going to get. I
don't think he's going to be close. You know what it was though? I should remember this when I'm hearing. I was listening to the Florida broadcast.
Oh, there we go. No bias there.
Okay, so let's just forget I said that. I listened to too many.
Going back to Leafs though, so Matthews obviously back tonight. That's huge. Leafs extend Philippe Myers 2-year deal, $850 per. Tampa's trash is our treasure. I guess he was supposed to be the big return for McDonough. They couldn't get it to work for him. I think he's been a great depth defenseman for the Leafs.
Not bad. Okay, and the thing is, and I've got
a couple points in 11 games. You never notice him, which for a defenseman like him, I think is a good thing.
That's a great thing.
Yeah,
because I notice Matheson every night. Okay, but anyways, my point is this: how they put the defensive pairings out there for the Leafs, can that get a little bit more consistent?
I think it has been pretty consistent.
The last couple games, yes, but then I look out there, it's going to be different. Who's playing with Tanev? Tanev plays with.
He's been playing with McCabe lately,
and leave those two alone. You can switch O'Reilly, you can Oak and Larson, and you can play with Timmins, and sometimes you can play with Benoit, whatever you got to move. But that two should never be budged. You know what? Never.
I think they're a great second pair as well.
Oh, in some teams they could be a first because they play both ways. You know what I mean? When Tanev's on the ice, everyone's looking up. I'm not saying he's a headhunter.
No.
I'm not saying he's a headhunter, but if you're in front of the net and you're doing shit, he's going to be letting you know that he's there too. And that's huge on any team that you need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bodes well for the playoffs. The two things that's the one thing I say about the Leafs, solidify your defensive pairings all the time. I don't think Larson and
Riley?
Yes, it looks good in the power play when they do get out there. And they're both forward-moving defensemen, but it seems like Riley acquiesces to him sometimes instead of going to the net. He's been going a little bit more. Remember, he said he was shooting in the last couple of games. He's not shooting. So,
well, actually, no Leaf defenseman scored in the month of December.
One of the Leafs things that's going to have to pick up for the year is their power play percentage is going to have to come up. And, definitely. You know what I'm saying? Those have to come up. That's what they're going to need when the playoffs come. Their defensive, what have they got? Has anyone got 6 or 7 goals on the defense? I'm not even sure.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Which is going to make it quite interesting. But the other thing that I'm going to say, and we texted about it the other night, and I'm glad it wasn't true. At the end of the game, they said Wall had a tweak.
He looked fine against the Islanders.
You're damn right he looked good. I think he's just a very solid goaltender. But I'm going to say this. I don't know why. The Matt Murray experience, I don't know, bro. I say go with Hildeby. They put him back down, but they both got to play. That's the issue. I understand it. But they sent Hildeby down. He was AHL Player of the Week. So they sent the guy down. Or wasn't that what it was? Or he got a shutout, he did this, that. But I think he was so. Or he was top 3 star of the week in the AHL. You know what I mean? And he's played some games up here, and he's been solid. And I think if they play him against the lesser teams on the back-to-back, it'll give him more experience, right?
Yeah. But I mean, look at this. We're arguing about the Leafs' backup goalie. I think things are pretty good.
Well, I've been saying to you all the time, the Leafs are fine. But the thing is the reason that got you there is because your goaltending was so consistent.
Agreed.
So you can't stub your toe at this time.
Cannot wait for Stolarz to come back.
Oh, huge. So my question is on those backs-to-backs, who's going to hold it down for you? Who you're more confident in? If I was a Leaf guy, I'd want Hildeby.
I mean, either way, I'm not exactly doing somersaults, but I mean, I'm not crazy worried about it either, so...
You got a long way to go. You're a top Atlantic division. Everything should be okay for you. I'm just saying, pull up your percentages and and you'll be fine. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think there's a lot for Leaf fans to be optimistic about this season.
Oh, 100%. Okay. Another thing I've noticed though is that when you do look at the teams that we've put in the top 10, they have the most balanced scoring. You know what I mean? They're not top heavy. You know what I mean? A couple of teams around, Minnesota being one.
Yeah, a little top heavy.
Yeah. Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
But Washington, LA, Winnipeg, Vegas, you cannot say that's a problem for them.
No, they all
Dallas, that's been ever since Sagan's gone down, it's been a big issue.
Because they don't have that 1-2 line punch evermore, and the other 2 lines doing their job. Well, the other 2 lines are doing their job, but they're not scoring before. That's a team that definitely needs scoring depth, and that's another team that needs somebody that hit somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're missing Chris Tanev. Even though he was just a rental, but...
Yeah, definitely. And so, as high as I was on Minnesota, they're falling off my scale. Now,
Yeah.
My other two
Well,
teams,
you saw they moved out all the way down to 9, so they're close to falling off my top 10.
there you go. But I'm still saying that a couple teams that I still give love for is I think Carolina's still going to right the ship. I think they're going to be there in the end. I really, really do.
They were like, I guess you could say they were my number 11, but I mean, there's still, it's the goaltending, man.
Oh, that's their biggest worry. But it's the same thing when you go into
If they keep the same tandem, like, I think it's a real possibility they get swept in the first round.
But they've got everything else. Maybe they'll make a move.
Because they have to make a move. They're known for making that move, so I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility yet. But like,
they're a good hockey team. Like they got all the metrics say.
Oh, I agree.
All the metrics, and I'm just going. But where are you? You got Pittsburgh. No, Pittsburgh's 8 back. They're going to be in there. They're going to be a top 3 in that division, no problem. But where they go with that, I don't know. It's the same thing when we get to our good buddies in Dallas.
Yeah.
Same situation. Like, you know what I mean? Other side of the conference, but their goaltending's a lot more steady.
It is a lot more steady, but they're also in a much tougher division.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm still giving both those teams love. I expect them to make the playoffs. I expect them to. They're like if they suddenly were in the conference finals on both sides. I'm not betting on it to happen, but if it did, I wouldn't be like shocked.
Yeah.
They got enough.
Although Dallas, they've fallen into the wild card now, and if the playoffs start today, they'd be playing Vegas in the first round.
That's the issue there. But I'm really happy for that guy in Carolina, Nesson or whatever.
Nashas.
He's still hanging it up there. But who scores behind him?
Not many. Like Aho is having he's a point per game guy, but it's behind them too. It's like
nothing.
Sveshnikov never really took off like people thought he would.
No, and but you know what it is.
I mean, he's still very young, so maybe there is still a little bit of time for him to take a step.
But their style of play is very structured. It keeps them in. They lose a lot of 3-1, 2-1 games, considering their goaltending is not always going to be there. What tells you that their defensive back game is pretty damn good. I think they're going to be around. Like I said, I got to give it to you. The team that's surprising me the most is no doubt the Washington Capitals and the LA Kings. Because at the beginning of the season, I wasn't giving those guys any love. And LA just beat Edmonton the other night. Yeah. Great hockey game. What was the difference? A save or two. You know what I mean? It was just a save or two difference. But LA's in every game. Now, you made an interesting point. They had that good run at the beginning of the season when they were on the road for a long time. But lately, their performances on the road haven't been quite what we'd be thinking they'd be. But they're just unbelievable at home. What's their record at home now? It's insane.
It's like 13-2-1 or something.
It's crazy. Yeah, 13-2-1. Maybe the best home record in hockey. But since they've been on the road, still it was okay, 9-8-4. But if you remember early in the season, they were like 4 or 5 games over 500 on the road. It's catching up to them. But those Saturday nights games at home, if you notice over the season, as we've been talking about, and what is it, 75% of home teams?
Yeah, they're not exactly locks, but they're high percentage games.
High percentage games. Surprising me, even when you get like the Columbuses and the San Jose's, which is going to give this, because we don't really want to talk about teams that suck, okay? I love Celebrini. I love that guy. Every time I see him, he's turning into my John Morant of the NHL. This guy, okay, you know what it is? Bedard's going to be great, but it's that lower body power strength from the Crosby kind of built player. Celebrini's got that burst. I don't see that in Bedard. You know what I mean? Like, Bedard's fast, he's shifty and all that stuff, but you know that power move, sometimes you got to break to the net? Bedard's move looks dipsy-doodle. Celebrini's looks like pure power. When he's going there with menace and the other kid that's playing on his line. Like, if they play together for years, that could be a crazy-ass line in the future. Agreed.
Celebrini, though, Bedard, I'm still wondering what he's going to look like once they have actual defensemen that can move the puck to him, though.
Gets pushed off the puck an awful lot. Even last night in Montreal, we pushed him off the puck all night. You know what I mean?
Even
that's a concern. That's got to be a concern. Now, he's going to get bigger. He's only 20 years old.
Can I also say I'm happy the Leafs didn't bring back Bertuzzi? Did I tell you my brother's nickname for him?
What's that?
Empty calories.
Oh, yeah. He's around the net all night, does nothing, eh? But he got a goal last night.
That was kind of like the problem I was saying with him in Toronto, too, where it's like...
Trying too hard, I thought.
Yeah.
You know, and he's got the money.
Where it looks like a step off of the play, you know?
Okay, so now who would you rather have? Anderson in Montreal or Bertuzzi in Chicago?
Anderson. On their current contracts?
Okay, probably Anderson.
Yeah, Anderson.
Okay, but if you, because I watch every Habs game, so we got to have a quick Hab report here just because.
Sure.
Okay? Bottom line is that line is like every team, and that was like on Dallas's. That was their line, which is better scoring line. The Duchesne, Sagan, was it Marchand? Whoever it was on that line, I'll remember it in a minute.
Duchesne, Sagan, and Ben.
And Ben, yeah, Ben, that's who it is. In any event, the Montreal played all season, and Dvorak was nowhere until they put him in the center between Anderson and Gallagher. How many times Anderson's been in the corner, doesn't get the assist, pulls the puck out of the net? Guy still got freaking brick hands. That's a problem. Great skater, great checker, dig the puck out, kill a penalty, just can't seem to put the puck in the net. However, building a line like that consistently puts pressure on the other team's line because they're go forward. Gallagher's going to, he's going to have a 25-goal season. Remember, he's in there, he's going to score 25 goals, he's out there. Now, what we've done properly is, the top guys, we finally lined them up. Now, I thought he's got to play better on 5-5, but it makes a big difference in our lineup. Laine didn't play last night. We could have used him. That could have been there because we just had a terrific run. Who can say that they beat Florida, Tampa Bay, and Vegas 3 games in a row? What team in the league is going to beat all 3 of those in a row? Maybe Toronto? Maybe a Winnipeg? I don't know.
Well, all of a sudden, Montreal's just 3 points back of a playoff spot.
Okay, let's not work. Let's. I'm
just stating facts.
Thank you very much, but I've been telling people on my Hab site and all these other people, one game at a time. A month ago, diehard Hab fans were shitting all over this team, which meant that fuck you.
Oh, I remember.
Fuck you. I hate that. Either you're on all the time or you're not. But the system is starting to work. We got the same 6 defensemen out there every night. We're not switching all these guys around, even though Barron's looking better in Barron was a good move for both defensemen, I think. Mm-hmm. Barron's looked better in Nashville, and Carrier's looking great in Montreal. Our problem is we got a defenseman who's going to be an outstanding offensive player in the future, playing left wing, not defense. That's Hudson.
Lane Hudson?
Yeah.
His brother actually looked good for the junior team, too.
Oh, yeah, very good. But he's playing with Matheson, who thinks he's Bobby Orr. And
That's
not.
a weird defense pair.
Oh,
I mean, I guess like it's you guys aren't exactly like swimming in top defensemen. I get that, but
the other pair,
2 offensive defensemen like that,
and one plays left wing. Okay, that's what I say. And he's a dynamo on defense. You ever see? I mean, offensively.
On offense, yeah.
I mean, the guy's shifty, and you know what? He's small, but he doesn't get banged off the puck that much. I thought, and he's only going to get bigger and stronger. But I'm saying it's a consistency. One of the things is, and Montreal's got some old guys back there teaching them, like those old defensemen they've been coming to practice lately. Aberjacky's getting better by the game. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's quit headhunting. Picking up the puck, moving the man, head manning the puck, shooting the puck on the net, which is good. And who is he with? Savard. A steady defenseman that stays at over, that knows what they're doing. And that means a lot. The other thing is you got back to a line that's going to work. Even though he's been up and down this year, Slafkovsky, that Caulfield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky line is back together. And they need to stay together because that's got some chemistry there, even though Slafkovsky just does some weird shit this year. He just does. But
what do you mean?
Out of position. You know what I mean? But he digs and he bigs and he's had some minor injuries. I think he's going to be okay going down the stretch. Caulfield might score 30 goals, which I didn't think he was going to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's got 20 now. You know what I mean?
On pace.
And you know what I mean? And Suzuki's playing some of the most intelligent hockey I've ever seen. For a guy that size, I thought he'd get killed. He gets in and out of traffic as good as anybody I see in the league. I wish he had a little bit more oomph to his game, but 3 points out is better than what we're going to saw, especially from my accomplice across the table who didn't even give us a time of day. Long way to go. I'm not saying we're making the playoffs, but it sure is entertaining to watch.
Absolutely.
One of the other things that I was... one of the things that I've really noticed about the NHL this year is the biggest thing that people need is depth scoring. That's all the way around the league. So it comes down to this, which a lot of these coaches that win is, it's your work ethic of your team. Some nights you just got to outwork the other team. That sounds like the oldest acronym in the history of sports.
Yeah.
In the NHL, you see it every night. If you don't work hard that night, you go home. You're going to lose. You just have to play hard. Now, I'll give you the example of that game. The New York Islanders and Toronto Maple Leafs. Both of those teams played hard. Everybody showed up. Toronto got the break. Game over. You know what I mean? Yep. But, I mean, you look at that game. That was a very entertaining hockey game. Just that I thought, what if the Islanders get the goal instead? Because, you know, that next goal was going to win it. But the fact is, I love that kind of hockey because you see both teams playing their asses off. I've seen too many games this year where it starts to get a little bit one-sided, Detroit Red Wings, and you forget to work. You forget the work,
Yep.
going home.
Yeah,
Simple as
absolutely.
that. One other little factor I want to bring up, and I'm just throwing this out there because I've been looking around at Puckpedia lately.
Uh-oh.
We've got trade deadline coming up.
Wow. Still a while away.
Okay, well, you start.
Well, there's going to be a little bit of action we're going to think before the Four Nations face off, I guess.
Okay. So I started looking around the league, and I said to myself, I know we got to look at I'm looking at the cap too. I'm looking at Puckpedia where it's going to fix there. And my first thing is, I wonder the situation in Columbus is so ridiculous. Is there a possibility that they would let Werenski go at the trade deadline?
I think that's a long shot.
Really?
Yeah. I think they view him as a building block there.
How many years till he's a building block? How many years when he go? Like, well, what's Columbus? How many years away are they
From being a contender?
from being anything?
Well, they're only 2 points out of the playoffs right now.
Okay, well, then we'll play out the season. And if they're going to be close there, then maybe someone's going to say, okay. I just think that's a facade, personally.
They got a good young core of forwards that are, I would say, on their way to developing. Could next year be the year for them? I don't know.
Then they're going to keep them. Then
Yeah.
they better keep them. But I'm just saying, like,
I think that's the way that team feels, though, that they're like right around the corner from a breakout season. Because there's a lot of talent on that team.
Oh, I'm not saying there's not. You know what I mean? They got a little bit of goaltending.
Their goaltending, yeah. Elvis Merzlikin seems to be a big problem there. I know they want to move on from him, but attitude seems to be the issue with him, and like it doesn't seem like anyone else wants to take him.
Well, that's going to be an issue. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, every week to come to playoff deadline, I'm going to be looking around the league and looking at a guy. This is my first guy I looked at. You know what I mean? And he's comfortable salary. You got him in, like, he's all around. He's only $9 million, and the cap's going up next year, and he's good to 2028. If you could get him on your team at that money, whoo.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? If he keeps that production, he's a big boy, moves the puck. You know what I mean?
From that legendary 2015 draft class.
You got it. You know, and he's good hockey player. You know what I'm saying? But he's one of those guys, I start watching the teams that suck. San Jose's got a guy on the back end I'll probably bring up the next time too, because there's a few guys out there on teams that are like, that could be moved. Now, they're still in that age. Are they in their prime, though? You know what I mean? Like, when did we get Matheson? He was 30, right?
Yeah, they're about.
Okay, so we're supposed to get something out of him. Sometimes it doesn't work. You know what I mean? We got him around the Tampa Bay time when we made the run, right?
Yeah, it would have been right after that. Yeah.
Because we said we needed something. What a mistake. But anyways,
Either
they're
way.
doing it. They're good there in any event. But yeah, the cliches about hockey, hard work is, I've noticed those teams that work hard. That's why I say Florida's got the switch. They know when to do it.
Is that what's going wrong with Vancouver?
They don't work hard.
Exactly.
They just hope they skate around and get enough goals. You see Tocchet, he has a freaking
Baby on the bench.
at least twice a game. He's looking at guys out there. Like, you know what the
Well,
problem?
those are Tyreek Hill numbers then.
Oh, there you go. But here's the thing about Vancouver. Any given night, they could skate you off the ice.
100%.
Be very careful what you wish for. But then all of a sudden, things get a little bit tough, and all of a sudden, where they go. But look at their record. They're still 18-12.
Barely hanging on to that last playoff spot, though.
Agree. But what they got
And their old rivals, Calgary, are right on their heels.
Okay, so here's the deal with them. They just got to play better at home. See their home record? Brutal. Under 500.
Wow, that's unacceptable.
That's what I'm saying. So that's got to improve over the period of the season, and I think that'll put them over the top to get in the playoffs. Because look at, they're 11-4-1 on the road, which shocked me when I see
Demko's been bad coming back. You got to think that like those numbers, once they improve, that team's gonna be back in form though.
Oh, Vancouver?
Yeah.
They gotta still work a little harder, bro. They gotta be a little tougher. You know, you can't win a playoff series playing 7 games like that.
No, I'm not saying they're gonna win a playoff series. I'm just talking about making the playoffs.
Yeah,
Step one.
I think they're gonna get in the playoffs. I really do. I think that they've got enough, whatever it is that they got. They got Quinn Hughes.
But again, Calgary on there, like St. Louis is still hanging around. Utah's been picking it up lately.
Do you think Calgary's got enough? They got a great record, though. They're the most overachieving team in the league, in my opinion.
Well, they're getting good goaltending, number one.
Oh, that helps a lot.
Wolf has been a revelation there in net. Huberdeau is not quite up to the level of maybe they want him to be, but I mean, he's putting up productive numbers this year. Kadri's been very good.
It's his best season in Calgary.
Yeah.
So that bodes well. And they got good young defensemen. big boys, they've looked at around there who's playing in their conference, and they said, well, we better design our back end like this.
Sure.
And it's looking that way. I don't think Calgary will get there. You know
Never
what I mean? Not enough scoring for me. That's what I'm saying. But I hope that there's a chance that 6 Canadian teams could be in the playoffs.
Possibility.
You know what I'm saying? And we just make a quick look, because I don't like them anyway. Fuck them. But Ottawa is not going away.
No, they are not.
They're not.
They've been hanging on to that final wild card seed for about a couple weeks now.
And not only that, I'm not saying that they can't pass Tampa Bay or Boston. I prefer it to be Boston, because I think Tampa Bay is
Tampa Bay has the game in hand advantage on them.
Oh, huge. They got 3 games in hand, so that's what
and they're up 2 points. So
yeah, so I think they can get away. But Boston, they got 2 games in hand on Boston, and they're only 4 points behind. And they got to play Boston 2 more times. So that could be interesting.
I won't be upset if they pass Boston.
Nobody will. I mean, now let's just cut to the chase on that. But I still think that freaking Boston's running on fumes. Like I said, what are we at now? Everybody's played about half season.
Yep.
Half season's gone by. You are what you are. You is what you is. So we're going to see what's happening. All I can say is Habs, keep doing what you're doing. If we got a 1 last night, we'd have been over 5. We'd have stayed over 500. Not 500. And you smelled it. You know, that just works in sports sometimes.
Yeah.
We have those 3 wins, and what did you say? Oh, they're going to Chicago on Friday night. I went.
Trap game?
Oh, and we played well. We played well. We had a lot of shot attempts.
Ah, well,
Okay.
there we go.
We had a lot of
shots on goal still count as shot attempts, right?
shots on goal were good, but we had a lot of shot attempts. Okay.
So a few more stories around the league before we get to our picks. So a couple milestones. Crosby passed Lemieux for most assists as a Pittsburgh Penguin.
That's an amazing accomplishment.
1,034. Hedman became the Lightning all-time leader in games played, 1,083. Gabriel Landeskog skating with the Avalanche again. He's feeling good, according to Jared Bednar.
That's the best news I heard all week, because that's a great hockey player. You know what I mean? And these type of injuries, you go, come on, guy. Hope he's out there. We're cheering. At the House that Happens, we're cheering. Not that we're cheering for Calgary. We're cheering for a guy.
Colorado.
Colorado, yeah. That's what I'm saying. But we cheer for guys like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've always liked Gabriel Landeskog from the moment he has stepped onto the NHL ice. Chicago lost the Winter Classic on New Year's Eve. They're now 0-5 in that game all time.
Good for them. Good for them. But we got to go back to one of my pet peeves. Unis.
Oh, yeah. Both. Well, the St. Louis ones were awful. The Chicago ones were acceptable, but not
acceptable.
Their best.
That's a great word. Yeah. You should have been a lawyer. St. Louis ones were brutal.
I hate that off-white to make it look old. But
like I said, it looks like something they pulled out of the closet. They had more than 20 years. And they shouldn't have been. That's why they were in the closet, because you weren't supposed to be wearing them.
And St. Louis has had some bad jerseys in their history, too.
Oh, yeah, but this is right up there. And you know what? I don't know. Like, I've never been to Wrigley Field, but I thought the sight lines were kind of bizarre. Like, as you notice when they're skating, and all of a sudden there would be like pockets where you go. It wasn't like the big house right on top of it, or where they put when they did that Fenway Park, when they moved on a certain angle, so all that field and that part were all dominant in the game. Wrigley just seemed a little.
I don't know. I haven't heard any complaints yet, and this is the second time they've had that game there. So.
Yeah, no. Well, it's going to be Arch Wrigley. What are you going to say about it? End of story. But to me, it just seems like I don't know. It's a weird venue to have a hockey game in. But look at how many people showed up.
Yeah, exactly.
National TV, a whole 9 yards, and Bedard got pushed off the puck all day.
And Chicago, nice unis, but if I were to put a list of the best Chicago outdoor uniforms, I don't think this one would make my top 5.
The last time they played, they had the old-looking ones from the 60s, the Stan Mikita, Bobby Hull-looking ones. Yeah. I think they should bring them back, but that's pretty well standard when they play all the time. They haven't had much variation of those.
No, their jerseys have been pretty much the same since.
Yeah, and I like
the
jerseys.
70s, 80s.
Yeah, 60s.
Yeah,
there's that variation on that, which I kind of like. You know what I mean? It hasn't done anything else for them, but you know what I'm saying? By the way, when you think about jerseys, and we did say this off the air, one of the best was when Detroit played Toronto.
Oh, that's the best aesthetic between the two sides.
Oh, yeah, when you've seen that. I mean, Edmonton and Montreal didn't do too bad, but then Edmonton got a little weird with theirs. But that game, that looked old school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're playing in a bowl.
Yep.
And it's conducive to being. They'll have another game there, don't you think?
The Big House?
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually. Yep.
Well, they're doing Ohio State this year, which I think is cool.
Fuck Ohio State.
And it's Detroit to Columbus appropriately.
Fuck Ohio State.
So Tampa and Miami are going to get outdoor games next year by the looks of it. And
what?
Yes.
Okay, so
one of them is going to be the Winter Classic. It looks like.
Okay.
They've had outdoor games in California. I mean, they've had outdoor games at one Texas.
So when are we going to have our 4-team cup playoff in
Saudi Arabia?
And let's have it outdoors.
Never.
Yeah, let's have it outdoors. Come on. I heard that outdoor game in Florida. Now, the one in L.A. was weird how they had to do that.
It still worked.
Ice was brutal, they said.
Okay.
You know
the one
in
Texas was pretty good, though, I thought.
Yeah, but that was in Dallas, right? That was in North. Yeah, so that's a little bit more.
Well, it's okay. Those LA ones, that was 10 years ago. The technology's improved since then.
You think they'll have another game in LA? Vegas get one for sure. Outdoor game in Vegas. That's second to Saudi Arabia.
I guarantee you LA is going to get another one sometime.
It's LA.
Yeah, well, there you go. But the Dallas one, I think, is more famous for Corey Perry getting kicked out in like the first minute now than anything else.
Yeah, okay. I remember that.
Although the uniforms for that one were pretty cool, I'd say, for both sides.
And you know what? I don't want to say that I'm anti-jersey here, okay? It's just that I'm not a big marketing people. Don't fool me with shit. Like, I go out there and I say what's playing. For example, last night, Memphis came on the floor in some red shit. I think that's why they lost. I go, I didn't recognize it was Memphis. I was scrolling through the box trying to find the game. I went blue by that because all the basketball games are in a row.
Yeah.
I blew by that looking for Memphis. I said, oh yeah, let's go back. They were in some kind of red freaking, I don't know, high school looking uniforms.
Either way.
You know, marketing.
Also, last but not least, Jonathan Taves could be making a league comeback.
Really? Really?
Sounds like it is around the corner. I don't know if it's going to happen this season or next season, but teams are circling the wagons, so to speak.
He's only 35.
Teams will want him as a third-line guy.
No doubt about it. He hasn't played in 2 years, eh?
No, he hasn't.
And
Someone's going to take a chance on him.
He's a free agent, right?
Yeah, he's a free agent. Although, if he starts in another league, they're going to have to put him through waivers to get him back, so that could be an interesting situation. So,
what do you mean? Isn't he a free agent?
No, but if you come from another league, then you got to clear waivers to enter the NHL again.
Well, what league's he in?
Well, I'm saying hypothetically, if he goes to play in like the Swiss league or the German league beforehand, yeah, he'd have to pass waivers to once he goes back into the NHL. So that could be a very interesting situation. We'll obviously keep our eye on that.
I just hope he comes back because I love the guy's style of play.
Oh, I have a Jonathan Taves Red Chicago jersey, so I'm a huge fan of his.
Cool. Very cool.
Ready for our picks?
I guess we are.
All right, so first up, New York Rangers at the Washington Capitals. I'm on Washington. Surprise, surprise.
You know what? It's really cool because we said we're not going to talk about teams in the NHL that are relevant. Okay, continue.
So you're on Washington then.
Oh, yeah.
New Jersey at San Jose. New Jersey is on a 3-game road skid, so I'm going to choose the Sharks to defend home ice.
I'm going to do the same, too. Jersey's lost 3 in a row on the road? No, they'll make it back tonight, but I would circle that game. What time's on at 4 o'clock?
I believe so.
I think that'll be a good hockey game. San Jose shows up every game. You know what I mean? And the way their style of play of both teams could make that a very entertaining game.
But you're on New Jersey.
I'm on New Jersey, yes.
Detroit at Winnipeg. I'm on Winnipeg here.
I hate to do that, but I'm taking Winnipeg, and I'm jumping right to Toronto because I'll never cheer for Boston in my life.
Okay, we're both on the Leafs.
I say Carolina to win in Minnesota.
No, it's in Carolina.
Yes, I'm saying that, so they're going to win at home.
And Carolina is perfect on Saturday night home games so far this year.
Thank you very much. I think I'm going to take that right to Pro Line.
St. Louis at Columbus. St. Louis played last night, but Columbus has been awful at Saturday night home games, so I'm going to choose the Blues to steal it on the road.
I'm saying Columbus will do something for their fans because Ohio State will be big. There'll be a big shit about that, and everybody will be in that mood because their team's there. So I think the momentum in Columbus is enough for them to win.
Montreal at Colorado. Colorado on a 6-game win streak, so I'm going to choose the Avalanche.
I'm saying Montreal, who played last night, and we're going to get the rookie playing tonight, aren't we?
I guess so.
Did you see him play, Dobbs? He was outstanding.
Yeah.
And you know what? That other guy, what was he named? Like a spaghetti name? Glad he's out of town.
Primo?
Yeah. I'm going my Habs.
Utah at Dallas. Dallas on a 3-game win streak. We're both on Dallas.
Yes, yeah.
Tampa Bay at LA. LA on a 3-game win streak of their own. Tampa's lost their last 2. Give me the Kings at home.
I'm going to take that too, but that's another game I'm circling to watch. I watched so much hockey this year, bro, that sometimes I just look to see who's playing. And if those two teams are playing, I'm going to watch because I know the style of play is going to be entertaining. That should be a very entertaining game tonight.
Nashville at Calgary. Nashville's lost their last 3, so I'm going to choose Calgary at home.
on a Saturday night, national TV, second game. Yep.
Buffalo at Vegas. I'm going to choose Vegas at home.
Come on. Come on.
And last but not least, Edmonton at Seattle. I'm going to choose Edmonton to steal this on the road.
I expect them to do it too because I think they lost their last game, didn't they? No, they just barely beat Anaheim and lost to LA the game before. I think it's time that they, Edmonton's, you know what? They're kind of like Florida in that way. But you know what happens if you lose in the finals? You don't usually make a big advancement. So I do hope Edmonton tightens up for the McDavid situation, who's having a very quiet, good year.
Of course.
Very quiet. You know, we're talking about all the other guys scoring, this guy doing that. And, we haven't mentioned Connor McDavid. I still say you can catch McKinnon.
Maybe. I should also mention I'm on a 3-week win streak.
Killing me.
Yep. And I'm ahead of you by 10 picks on the total for the year.
Because you know what? I keep making these crazy picks like Montreal beating Colorado tonight.
Don't they tell you not to pick with your heart?
I didn't. I'm just taking the look that they had an off game against Chicago. They're going to take all their firepower and catch Colorado off guard.
And Colorado's freshly rested.
Okay, but they'll come out. Colorado's going, it's just the Habs. It'll be 2-0 after the first period for Montreal.
You think Nathan McKinnon's saying that? Stop it.
Nathan McKinnon is a Hab guy.
I think he's a Colorado guy.
But I mean, him and Crosby growing up, you know who they cheered for.
Yeah, so guess who they want to beat Saturday night?
It'll be tortoise in the hair. No, it won't be. Okay. I'm taking the Habs. Damn it. That's all there is to it. God bless the Montreal Canadiens, if there's a God.
All right. Okay. We'll move this to our final segment of the show, the NFL, with our newest edition, the top 10 power rankings. I'm going to be real right here. There was no movement or very little movement on my list from last week.
Okay, I got you.
So I got number 10, I have Washington. 9, I have the Chargers. 8, the Rams. 7, Green Bay Packers. 6, Minnesota Vikings. 5, Baltimore Ravens. Number 4, Buffalo Bills. Number 3, Philadelphia Eagles. Number 2, Detroit Lions. And number 1, Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, so I don't have my list here, but this is going to be off the top of my head right off because I know what I'm going to be thinking of. So
I guess this is our last power rankings.
This will be our last power rankings, 100%. Anyways, I'll just I don't know where my list is, but it's pretty easy. Let me look at the standings, and I'm going to give it to you so fast without even doing it because I've looked at it for so long. Okay, so let's just look at it this way. Here we go. If I had to go number 10, I'm going with the Houston Texans.
Whoa.
Yes. Number 9, I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 8, I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 7, I'm going with the Chargers. Number 5, it's number 6, right? Let's just get to my top 5. Then we'll be there. Number 1 is the Kansas City Chiefs. Number 2 is my beloved Detroit Lions. Number 3 is the Buffalo Bills. Number 4 is Minnesota, and number 5 is Baltimore.
Okay.
That's looking at, and it's not going to change. That's pretty well your top 5 too, isn't it? Probably in a little bit different order.
Where'd you have Philly?
Number 5.
No, you had Baltimore 5.
Number 5. Philly number 4, didn't I?
I don't think so.
Detroit, no. Minnesota.
Minnesota 4.
They would have to be number 6.
Okay.
First of all, this is the craziest week 18 in a long time in NFL history. So I want to shout out to this. Zachary Lee Cruz, Chris Waters, anybody else out there that's bitching about it. Our fantasy football league finals is in week 18. And everybody cries about it because they say, we don't know who's going to be playing. We don't know this. They're going to sit guys, blah, blah, blah. Put on your big boy pants. Make sure your team is ready. I'm just going to say this, and my son tells me all the time, but Dad, you got burned in those New England years when they sat everybody. And I said, that's the rule. Now, there has been a movement in the league to move it back to 17 like every other week.
I would agree with that. If I was in your league.
I'm going to be the Cam Newton about this. Why do I want to look like everybody else when I can look like myself? So that's what our league should be. So I know there's going to be some politicking going on there, and I don't mean to go too much on about the Pheasant Run Football League, but let it be known that old man Cruz is reaching out to his boy who's saying, we're going to be hardcore, we're going to be hardcore. Why we change it? We got the toughest league.
Okay, that's enough talk about your fantasy league. We got to get to the NFL.
Okay, so that's why I'm getting to the NFL. That's what I'm about it. Because what my point going to be is that people are bitching about all the people that are going to be sitting this weekend. So it's going to be interesting to make your picks. What's Kansas City going to do against Denver?
That's an interesting one.
Very
9.5 point spread.
So that's what I didn't articulate it properly. I was trying to make my fantasy run into the reality of the situation. What's going on in Philadelphia? What are they going to do? Okay, so now let's just take a look at the schedule here to start.
Well, hold on. Let's go back last week first.
Okay.
Let's do so obviously a bunch of milestones were hit.
Oh,
Justin
yes,
Herbert
sorry,
broke up Peyton Manning's record for most passing yards in his first 5 seasons.
Yep.
Hit over 20,619 yards. Saquon became the 9th running back to eclipse 2,000 rushing yards in a season.
Huge.
Brock Bowers passed Mike Ditka for most receiving yards by rookie tight end in a single season.
How long was that record?
That must have been the 60s.
Late 60s. Yeah. Amazing.
And he also has
even though the game has changed, still
he also has the rookie receiving
receptions.
Yeah. Just receptions, pure receptions. Yeah. Jane Daniels passed RG3 for most rushing yards by rookie quarterback with 820. So good to see for them. Congratulations to those guys. And the LA Chargers clinched the playoff spot despite all odds, even though you had them in there.
Who's that?
The Chargers.
Of course. I picked them before the season. I don't know how far they're going to go, but
they're probably, we'll see if it's a Harbaugh Bowl.
Oh, yeah, that'd be interesting. Anyways, before we get to some of the things that'd be interesting, because it's getting near the end of the year, some of the things that come up in football that are really fascinating, again, about what's the value of Week 18. Well, I'll tell you some values. Von Miller, 1 sack away from $1 million bonus. Think he's playing?
I think so.
Sutton, wide receiver, 50 yards away from a $1 million bonus. Think he's going to be going for it?
Of course.
The Cleveland guy, I forget his name, he gets a half a sack, $1.5 million bonus. Okay, let's take it one step further. Washington lineman, if he plays, what is it? I think it is 30 more snaps, $500,000 bonus. DeAndre Hopkins, all he has to do is get 9 more catches, 1 more touchdown, or 140 more yards, and each one of those incentives is worth $500,000, bro. Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
Which tells you got to do a dance around the guaranteed contracts. This is the dance. So if you're telling me that guys aren't going out there on Sunday to make business decisions, there's going to be some different business positions going on. You're going to hear about it all day tomorrow during games.
Of course.
What guys going on? I find it absolutely fascinating that when it comes down to, hence my preamble about how we get there in Week 18, remember that some guys are out there playing for money, cash. So I find it interesting in how that's going to play out in each game that's going on. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Another thing is, I have to say this. It's really, really weird. Like, there's so many things that I've been watching football for 50 years. There's so many weird things that have gone on this year, and we'll talk about the big game in a second because that's just insane. But just listen to this stat. Poor Joe Burrow. He is going to throw for 4,500 yards plus. He's going to have 45 touchdown pluses and less than 10 interceptions. Do you know the last 2 guys that did that are the only 2 guys that did that? Do you know what they did?
What, they went to the Super Bowl?
Both won MVP, one won the Super Bowl. That's Brady and Rodgers. Isn't that a shame that a season on that level of accomplishment, well, we won't even talk about it.
Unless they make the playoffs.
We're going to get to that in a second. You know what I mean? To see the value of the games. Now, another thing that I have to have going on is when you think about salary caps and all that stuff, we got the big game coming up on Sunday night. And the big talk about is the resurrection or the revelation or the coming out of Sam Darnold. Guy's playing for $10 million this year. What do you do? What would you do with him next year?
I don't know if I haven't seen Minnesota's cap situation, to be honest. It's all about if you can fit him under, which I don't know if they can.
I'm going to franchise tag him.
Oh, you think so?
100%. What else are you going to do with the guy? Still got to pay him $40 million. You're going to pay the guy. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm happy for Sam Darnold. Coming out of USC, he had looked a big arm. I'm glad that he got the development, which is always, we talked about it last week. Give a guy a chance to develop. Just don't throw him to the wolves. My theory is this. Why would you pay him on salary cap him? For this reason. You got J.J. McCarthy. He was supposed to be your guy in the future.
Oh, exactly.
But he's going to come up. What are you going to do with him? He could be the trade bait that you use to get some of your draft capital back that you've traded to get some other defensive guys, so to speak. Football's always in the moment, bro. What have you done today that's going on? Ask San Francisco. However, another thing about the NFL is you can't remember is even though you're in the moment every day, you still got your eye looking for down the road because it's about the consistency in the NFL that you develop to make you be a team like a San Francisco or, the teams that keep coming every year. You have to have that kind of stability. So Minnesota has always been around the playoffs. They've never been a shit team all around. They miss the playoffs. They come back. They take advantage of their schedule. But to give Sam Darnold 5 years at $50 million a year?
No, it's insane. Minnesota can't do that.
Okay, because first of all, the whole idea behind it, he's only had 1 year. What if he regresses?
Yeah.
Because when I get back to my talk about in the moment, C.J. Stroud this time last year, you couldn't talk enough about what the greatness of his future is going to be. Look at the second year. Now, Jaden Daniels is the Lamborghini. Already, he's God's gift of football. He only played 1 year, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
We were in the moment, but you got to look to the future. I think it's going to be
well,
very
that's the thing about the Vikings then, because, how much do you believe in J.J. McCarthy? That's the real thing.
He hasn't played it down in the NFL.
I get that.
Okay, does he have an arm as big as J.J. McCarthy?
Wait.
I mean, does he have an arm as
big as Sam Darnold? It's not just about having a big arm, though. It's about also what's between the ears.
Okay.
Because Joe Flacco had a rocket arm, but his career as a quarterback was kind of up and down.
Got a ring.
I get that.
Okay, so I'll give him that.
But who's that defense that he had on his team?
Doesn't matter.
It does matter. It does matter if you get it for the championship.
Oh, you got a big point there because it was interesting what happened there is that they drafted Lamar Jackson when they still had Flacco.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So you're in the moment, but you got to look to the future because, the problem this year is going to be 7 or 8 teams that are looking for a quarterback. Okay? When the season ends, 7 or 8 teams going to look for a quarterback. There's only 2 guys that are serviceable right now in the NFL draft. Now, we don't know that because there'll be a Brock Purdy in this draft.
Exactly.
We don't know. But
what quarterbacks are you thinking?
Cam Ward and Dion's kid.
Okay,
they're the 2 that are there. So the question is, they could trade J.J. McCarthy to a team knowing that they're not going to get a quarterback that good in this draft. So you know what I mean? So you get draft capital coming back. I think the only reason I'm bringing this up is because we just watch the games from afar and we all fall in love with our teams and we all have these beliefs of what they're going to do there. Look at the minutia of keeping your team in line, which makes the Sam Darnold conversation to me totally interesting. Now, if he falls off the cliff and J. McCarthy fails, great. Guess what division they're in? You know what I mean?
I don't think it's going to happen that easily. But.
No, and I don't. So this is we'll go through the other ones because we'll wait till this to the end. Just another little weird thing is when you think about it, where's Aaron Rodgers going to go? And is the drama of Aaron Rodgers over?
Well, it looks like him and Devontae Adams are persona non grata in New York next season.
Do you believe that?
100%. 100%.
Okay, so now what do the Jets do? A complete rebuild? Okay, so why wouldn't you keep Rodgers as a bridge quarterback?
I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, we don't know. Who's the new management?
Well, it's still the same ownership.
Well,
you have a 17-year-old running the show.
Oh, that's okay. Now that you throw that caveat in there, then I'm just going to say nothing anymore. Do you think Aaron Rodgers will be playing in the league next year?
I'm 50-50 on that.
To tell you the truth, you just took it away from me because I'm saying I'm 50-50 on that.
Hate to be a fence sitter, but I really don't know.
No, and Aaron Rodgers is so cryptic about everything that he does. And if he rides off in the sunset and we don't see him for a long time,
I could see that.
I could kind of believe him. But at the same time, now that his, what would you call it, his footprint on what's gone on in the world in the last couple of years does make him a lightning rod for a lot of things that are going on in the planet, and his association with people outside of football.
Sure.
But I mean, I hope that doesn't matter. That's getting away from football. I'm just saying that's another weird thing about the season that's just made me go, okay.
So you want to get to the most disappointing teams in the All-Pro stuff before Week 18 or after?
Yeah, let's got to that right now.
So All-Pro team, biggest snub, Baker Mayfield. He should have been there instead of Jaden Daniels.
You know what? I love Jaden. Back again on my fantasy team. Baker Mayfield should definitely have got it. He's one of those guys that you say, get him in the league, throw him to the Wolves, learn the game. He's going to have a big game on Sunday. Tampa's going to make the playoffs. He had to replace Tom Brady. That's 2 playoff years in a row he's going to have now. As a starting quarterback,
put up great numbers.
Hell of good numbers, and not only that, his contract's pretty friendly in context of the moon right now. So I thought that Baker Mayfield was definitely a snub. I thought he should be on the team. I thought a lot of guys made it on reputation.
Like who?
Travis
Kelce.
Exhibit A. I think Fred Warner is one of the best linebackers in the NFL. I didn't hear much of him in the last half of the year.
But he's playing with a broken ankle? Yeah.
Whatever the case may be, but he got in there on name alone. I think there's the guys that they say, well, what about their name alone? And I don't mean to be biased, but Frank Ragnow and Penei Sewell on Detroit, and look at the way that Detroit plays football and we go forward. This is their third year in a row, this combination going to the Pro Bowl. I understand that, even though it's a bias for me to say because I'm a Detroit guy.
A lot of Detroit guys going to the Pro Bowl.
What's that?
A lot of Detroit guys going to the Pro Bowl. Goff, Monroe St. Brown, Gibbs made the team.
Yeah, so all deserving. Yeah. Now, Branch made the team too, but he was on the outside looking in as the defense crumpled along the way, but he's there. But most of the usual suspects should have been there. Same with the quarterbacks in the AFC. I think they got the right three.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, look, who did you get? Lamar, Josh, and Joe Burrow.
Yeah, hard to argue with those.
Oh, come on. You know what I'm saying? Which, who was the running back there, though? One of the running backs in the AFC, I thought
Cook was left off. That was a little bit of a surprise.
I thought because they're saying his numbers weren't as glaring, but the system that he was in. Okay. Which gets us to the whole numbers game. Is numbers everything about winning an award? Because that's the beef right now about Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Like, Lamar's numbers are a tad better.
Well, I mean, unfairly to Lamar, voter fatigue is going to work against him this time around.
I'm so glad you brought up voter fatigue, because that was my next thing about that. Can we just say go to hell and go like it is? Let's go with the real deal here. Now look at Mahomes and them. They're hating on them. It's like New England. You're a New England guy. It's the same thing. Like, no, it's not fatigue. It's called greatness. And I respect greatness. Now, I want Detroit Lions to win the Super Bowl more than life itself. But if the Kansas City Chiefs win 3 Super Bowls in a row, we're going to live in a lifetime where we can say that's a greatness thing that's never happened ever. So we're going to get fatigued because we're seeing some of the greatest football teams of all time.
Well, I also think the wording of the award also kind of opens the door to this, where it's most valuable. So you can kind of like fudge the numbers a little bit to prove your point or your storyline, basically.
Okay, and look
meanwhile,
at the writers.
if it was most outstanding player, that'd be like just cut and dry, right?
Saquon. This year to me.
Well, most outstanding, really, Joe Burrow.
Oh, okay, then that's a whole new ball game. Well, I just went through that whole spiel about he's the only guy to have this numbers and didn't win an MVP or a Super Bowl, which is just tell you another maddening thing about this season. So I'm going to say if I had a vote right now, I would still vote for Saquon Barkley.
For MVP?
For MVP. I would give it him over Josh Allen, who's done more with nothing, but it's just that the way that Philadelphia crumpled last year, and we're up there, and they're arguably
that might be good to crumple again soon. We'll see.
Arguably the best team in the NFL. I mean, in the NFC.
Maybe.
Oh, look at them as a whole team, as a structure. Offensive line, defensive line.
But then there's some weird shit that goes on in that team. That's the thing.
Well, we were hoping that they have put that away, which makes the game this week so interesting because they're going to be sitting so many people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hence the reason Saquon's sitting now. I'm going to ask you a question. Should Saquon have gone for the record?
I would have put him in and then kind of like do like little checkpoints at each quarter. Like if he wasn't close at halftime, like, sorry, buddy, you're sitting.
Okay, well, here's the thing that was brought up, and I went, wow, I never even thought about this. Philadelphia is going to sit Lane Johnson and that other horse on the offensive line. They don't need him.
Yeah.
So what? Saquon should be running behind a bunch of second stringers?
That's fair.
And I went, whoa.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. They know. When that was brought up in that occasion, and I'm going to say he's got a better chance of people getting better shots at him. Saquon, you got 2,000. That's a wonderful record. You would have done it in 17, so I would have said Eric Dickerson is still better than you anyway. I'm totally biased about this in this way. You know what I think about Eric Dickerson? So, Eric, you keeping a record. Yeah, cheers. Good, you know?
And I would say it's biased for me, too, but that I think that Josh Allen should win MVP.
Yeah.
Well, I picked him to win it at the beginning of the year, so I got to stick with that.
And you know what? I hope he does win it because you're not. It's obvious. Saquon's not going to win this. He's going to
Probably
be
not.
Offensive Player of the Year.
Even then, he might not win that because of Burrow.
Ooh, yeah, good show, yeah. But I'll look at it this way: his team's in the playoffs. Joe Burrow isn't. Well,
but it's not about that though.
Yeah, so they haven't voted for that yet, or they already have. They're just going to release the names.
I think the voting is like it's due in like less than a week.
Wow, here we go. Going to be interesting. One other note I wanted to bring up is we were talking about a guy like George Pickens talking to a reporter. Reporter said, Russell Wilson said this. And he said, did Russell Wilson say this or did you say this? They said they weren't on the same page. Okay. Pickens puts up his mask and just walks away like nothing's going on. Ultimate diva move from a wide receiver because wide receivers own the Divas position in the NFL. Okay? My point is this. I really like Troy Aikman as a reporter or as an analyst, whatever, the color and all that stuff. He made my heart warm when he said, Amon St. Brown is the anti-diva wide receiver.
Wow.
Is that not cool? And if you see the work that Amon St. Brown does, I've thought about that for years. He does great celebrations, but he doesn't, you know what I mean? And he made the Pro Bowl, deservingly so.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, wide receivers, Cam Newton said it best. If you want the ball, come and see me. We'll work it out.
Yep.
Going to the press and creating drama just does things like, why are you questioning Philadelphia?
Oh, what's going on in the locker room, especially A.J. Brown, wide receiver.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So the best teams don't do that. And Pittsburgh Steelers used to be the case study of nothing getting out of their house. Look at now.
Until, 5 years ago with Roethlisberger. Well, I guess Antonio Brown had his moments.
Okay,
there
they opened the door.
And Le'Veon Bell, that whole thing. And then the Chase Claypool thing a few years ago as well.
Cam Hayward coming off the field saying, listen, man, if 10 guys are giving it and one guy isn't, that's not working out for us. Huh?
Yep.
What's that? The question is, who's the 11th guy?
There we go.
So anyways, I'm glad that things are tight in the Motor City, Ford Field. The roof is on. Want to talk about some of the things that happened last week?
A little bit. We only have like 20 minutes left though, so we're going to try and do this quickly. I mean, what really went on last week that you want to talk about? It was kind of like there was a lot of boring games. I'm going to say this,
okay? It was all kinds of a mess. The picks were insane. It was tough to pick.
The only game, like the Minnesota Green Bay game, lived up to the expectations.
Yes, and I still thought Green Bay was going to win. It just tells you how smart Vegas is. What was the spread? 1.5 Minnesota. What did they win by?
They won by 2.
They won by 2.
No, actually, wasn't it? No, Green Bay. By the end, it was Green Bay favored by 0.5 point. Actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
when we picked, it was who was favored. Green Bay was favored by 1.5 when we picked.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But anyways, so the 2-point swing there is really quite interesting. What I want to say I'm going to start defending my Detroit Lions right now. Okay, everyone's talking about our defense. What are you going to do against Minnesota? Well, here's what's going to happen, people. Sam Darnold's never played in a game this big in Ford Field with that crowd, and all we have to do is get a break here or there. Look what we do with San Francisco. Got a couple interceptions, kept scoring the ball, we win the game. I'm tired of us talking about our defense because none of our guys are coming back. Maybe Anzalone's coming back this week, which would be great. But outside of that, the other 3,000 guys we got on the list, we can't depend on them because they won't be back till next season. However, I think that the intestinal fortitude put forth by MCDC and the way that we play football and the way that we play in our house, we will be the number 1 seed around midnight tomorrow night.
Okay. So most disappointing teams, most surprising teams of the year. I'm going to put Minnesota in most surprising category. I mean, some people had them in the playoffs. I don't think anyone had them as a 14-15 win team.
No, definitely not. And as a matter of fact, I was checking my prognostications because I had them written down. Yes, Minnesota is one of the most surprising teams in the league. I hate to say it because they're in the division. I think the other two that we have to look at as surprising team is one is Washington.
Washington, yeah.
100% because they were, a 5-team win last year?
5-win, yeah.
5-win team in. And the other one is
Denver.
Denver, both those teams. And pay homage to the coaches, Sean Payton and Jim Harbaugh. I mean, they both in there.
Yeah.
And look at that.
I would say Denver even more, especially because of the cap implications because of
there you
Russell
go.
Wilson.
I'd push him up.
And that's good. That's off the books next year, right?
Yes, it is.
That's huge.
There
That's
you
huge.
go. So Denver's even going to be Denver's here for real. But the thing is now they got to win today in Kansas City to get in.
It's in Denver, isn't it? Or is it in KC?
It's in KC.
No, it's in Denver.
It's in Denver. Another tricky pick.
Yeah.
Going to be a tricky pick.
I think it's trickier because of the spread. I think Denver is going to win this game no matter what.
What's the spread now? Still Kansas City
9.5.
Kansas City, right?
Denver
favored by 9.5.
Yeah, because Kansas City's going to be scratching a bunch of guys.
Oh, that's a terrible.
Denver 10.5 now, actually.
I'm taking Kansas City all day. Carson Wentz is going to go out slinging.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins wants to get some freaking. The thing is they're not going to have all their old line guys in. Kansas City, that's a problem. That's
especially that the interior, their guards in their center. That's all three of those guys made the Pro Bowl.
Yep. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see where that goes there. But they're the most surprising teams of the year. Those top three, you see with those top three, maybe give them the four: Chargers, Denver, Washington, Minnesota.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, that looks there.
Most disappointing, Dallas number 1.
Oh,
they're supposed to be. I thought they were going to be a 12-win team this year. Instead, they're going to finish with 8 at the most. San Fran, obviously, another big disappointment.
Yes, I was going to get to San Fran right away. Dallas has always been going to be a disappointment because of what they are. Now,
San Fran, though, you could maybe say at the beginning of the year they might fall back just because of the Super Bowl thing, which we were kind of saying, but we still thought they would make the playoffs.
I thought they'd make the playoffs, but
Yeah.
I thought the Rams would win the division. That was my pick, but I still didn't think they'd fall this far back. Injuries is an issue, but every team in the league's got to deal with injury issues. So I'd say that if we don't bring up the New York Jets as a disappointment,
I'm not going to put that in that category because I said at the beginning of the season they were going to be shit.
Okay, so they were already there.
When you were picking them to win the division, I was calling you nuts.
I thought I would see a lot better than that, but we didn't. Would you say that?
Cincinnati, a team that all three of us had in the wild card.
Yes, and they're a bit of a disappointment. I would also have to categorize the Indianapolis Colts as
I had them in the playoffs.
Yeah, and look at the way they shit the bed last week to go in their season. The whole Anthony Richardson thing has got to be cleaned up.
Jonathan Taylor has made some bad mistakes there too.
Maybe they got to tighten up those. They got players on that team. They got a modicum of defense.
And they got some wide receivers.
Damn right. Okay, so now let's take it one step further. That a team that we should bring up because they won a playoff game last year, Jacksonville.
No, they weren't in the playoffs last year.
Weren't they in the playoffs last year?
No, they missed.
Yeah, that's right.
Remember they had that good start and then they fell off?
Oh, yeah, they fell off. Yeah, right. Okay.
But anyway, I would still put them in that category too. It's very disappointing.
I thought that they had a lot more to bring to the table and they didn't bring it. And so now what they're going to do. Now, I thought it was very smart of them to leave what's his name, the quarterback?
Trevor Lawrence,
leave him for the rest of the year. He had the concussion. They're going nowhere. Why put wear and tear on your guy? They got, what's his name, sitting there? Mac Jones, your old buddy, isn't it? He's going to be playing there?
Yep.
So, get him.
He's been playing there, yep.
Yeah, so he could be a guy that rises his head in a couple of years. And then you never know what's going to happen because Will Levis is starting again this week for Tennessee. So
God bless him.
You know what I mean? So we just got to be saying. But that is the most surprising thing in the league. Is there any players that rose up this year that got your attention that you didn't know?
Any players that rose up?
That really got your attention?
Well, Sam Darnold.
Oh, yeah.
Number
and of
one.
course, Jaden Daniels.
Yep.
Okay, but guys, in there,
there was some hype around him.
Okay. Did you think? I really think that the wide receiver in the Giants, what's his name? He's going to be a superstar.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? He's
Malik
one of those,
Neighbors.
Yeah, Malik Neighbors. He's going to be a superstar. He rose up. I think the rookie corner on Philadelphia, has really surprised me. His name Quentin Mitchell, I believe.
Quinion Mitchell.
Yeah,
yeah.
whatever.
People thought he was a snub for the Pro Bowl too.
Yes, and I thought he had credentials to get there. Sometimes maybe he should get over there over Branch. I'm not sure. But in any event, that kid really got my attention. There's a couple other linebackers I could put it by, but before the playoffs next year, We'll come up with a little list before we have our playoff preview where we discuss what players really got your attention this year.
Mm-hmm.
The McConkey kid, wide receiver guy out in San Diego. Where did this kid come from? I don't know. He looked
L.A.,
good.
not San Diego.
I mean, LA,
Freudian slip.
Okay, but yeah. Any event, that was a guy there. I think that I already had him picked though. But Khalil Shakir of Buffalo.
Yep.
I had him on my list as guys that could rise up. He's looking like he's like Amon St. Brown light. Same type of player playing the slot, and both those guys were outside the numbers as college players.
Sure.
And they're not the biggest players on their team. God, give them a lot of credit. But in any event, we've been rolling this around. I'm just going to say this before we're going to get to our picks. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Okay, I'm just going to say this. Everybody's been yakking at me about what's going on this year in personal football from a personal level. I've already outlined at the beginning of the show one position I'm in, but I just want to say this just so that people that, I don't know how big of fans you are, understand the league, but do you understand that for me in my lifetime, being the disciple of the Detroit Lions that I am, did you think at 14-2 I'd be sitting around thinking, wow, we might be a 5th seed?
Crazy season.
Okay, so I don't want to say this. I don't want to jinx this, but anything can happen in sports. The Detroit Lions have been the talk of the season, okay? Right? One of the talk
Sure.
of the season's okay. We got to win tomorrow night because if we go on the road in the first round, anything can happen in a playoff game. So the whole season, as great as it's going to be, could be whisked away in front of you in a blink of an eye. So, and that's the NFL we're talking about in the moment, even though I know we'll be back next year because we'll have such a solid foundation, but that's not the point. We were a 17-point leader at halftime at the NFC Conference game. That's pretty damn close to the Super Bowl. How close do you get to the Super Bowl in your life? I've been waiting 50 years. Mm-hmm. That's the closest blink we've ever got. So the Sunday night game is probably one of the biggest games for me personally as a football fan ever. Even the conference championship, but this is even bigger because
determines your seeding, yeah.
Yes, it's going to be crazy. And then again, God bless Minnesota, 14 team. You know, there's no teams that have ever played with 14 game wins in the history of the NFL. Now, back in the day,
there's no
no 14 win teams have ever played each other in the regular season before.
Wow. Huge.
Yeah, another weird thing about the season. Now, back in the day, they had a couple.
Well, there's the extra game now too, so
yeah.
That
But
helps
1954, they had like 2 undefeated teams play at very high levels, but they didn't have this many wins, and that's before the Super Bowl. So that's a whole new extravaganza. But
let's get to our picks.
Okay.
So a couple games today. First of all, the afternoon affair: Cleveland at Baltimore. Baltimore, a 20-point favorite. Baltimore, if they win this game, they clinch the division and the number 3 seed in the AFC. This one screams backdoor cover for me. I think Baltimore is going to pull away early, and then second half you're going to see them rest some guys with the huge lead. So I'm going to pick Cleveland.
Every game for me is fragile, but I can't believe a division game is that. Do you have the spreads from the pick'em pool? The picks?
No, I keep forgetting to ask, so
I'm not sure exactly what they are there before I make them in. Right now, I'm saying Cleveland, even if it was at 17.5 to open. I think Cleveland's just going to come up and fight like bastards. You hear what Myles Garrett said this week against the game? I don't care. This is a game, division opponent. Got to remember, we got to respect. Let's go do some shit. So I'm taking Cleveland in the points.
All right, Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. So this one could be a little bit of a weird one, considering that if Baltimore wins, Pittsburgh's basically not playing for anything. But either way, Cincinnati is favored by 2.5. I guess Vegas is figuring that we're going to see Baltimore win and that Pittsburgh's going to rest some guys, although I don't think that's really Tomlin's MO. Either way, Pittsburgh has won 4 of the last 5 and 3 in a row against Cincinnati. Pittsburgh's a home dog. Give me the Steelers.
I'm taking Cincinnati all day.
I knew you would.
Well, due to the fact that you got to look at it this way, and we've discussed it before, Pittsburgh's 3 degrees away from a dumpster fire going into the playoffs. Have you seen Russell Wilson's numbers the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, not that good.
No, you're damn right. And guess what? Cincinnati doesn't have a very good defense, but they have a pass rush. What's his name? Hargenstein or whatever leads the league in sacks. If he gets one more sack, he's in for line for $1 million bonus. So you think at 15 sacks, he's got 14 now, I believe. If he gets 15, that's a huge bonus. You don't think he's going to go looking for Russell Wilson?
Of course he is.
So and what's Joe Burrow going to do?
Well, he wants to go out on a high.
There you go. And
they can still make the playoffs if.
It's a long.
Well, Denver and Miami need to lose, so it's not that much of a long shot.
Well, we'll get to that.
Well, mind you,
I'm taking Cincinnati.
Buffalo at New England.
Buffalo all day.
Buffalo favored by 3 points on the road. We're both on the Bills.
Got to take that.
New England needs to hang on to that number 1 pick.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get Travis Hunter in here. Chicago at Green Bay. Green Bay's favored by 10.5. Green Bay's favored by 10.5 at home. Green Bay 11 wins in a row versus Chicago, but I think Chicago finds a way to keep it close.
I say Green Bay goes out and just crushes them because Chicago's got nothing to play for. Be a lot of business decisions in that game. And I think it's going to be like, I don't know, 24-10, 24 whatever. Got to take Green Bay.
Jacksonville at Indianapolis. Indianapolis is favored by 4 despite the fact that Anthony Richardson will not play. Jacksonville's also won 5 of the last 6 versus the Colts, so give me the Jaguars on the road.
Home favorite. I'm going to take all day. Indy all day.
Yeah.
At home.
I feel bad for you.
Good.
New Orleans at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay favored by 2 touchdowns at home. I think they're going to crush here. Give me the Buccaneers.
Got to take the Bucs.
Houston at Tennessee. Tennessee favored by 1.5 points at home. Give me Houston.
They need to win. They need to right the ship. They're going to do it. They should be able to pull that off.
Carolina at Atlanta. Atlanta favored by 7.5 at home. Give me the Falcons.
All day, Penix has looked great. They should have won last week against Washington.
New York Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles favored by a 2.5 at home. Give me the Eagles.
You got to.
Giants suck.
Mm-hmm.
Washington at Dallas. Washington favored by 6.5 on the road. I like Dallas, the home dog.
I got to take Dallas as a home dog. I hope they just don't collapse on me. That's what I'm worried about.
Kansas City at Denver. Denver favored by 10.5 at home. Despite the fact that they have lost 17 of their last 18 to the Chiefs. I don't know if the Chiefs win, but I think they cover.
I'm going to go with that too. Even though I'm really nervous because it's in Mile High. Kansas is going to take all day off. They're going to have their O-line. But I just don't see Kansas City going out like that. Carson Wentz is going to come out slinging.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So
it's his Super Bowl.
It's his Super Bowl, so I'm going to take the points.
San Francisco at Arizona. Arizona favored by 4.5 at home. I know San Francisco's injured to shit, but the Cardinals have just been such a dumpster fire down the stretch. Give me the Niners.
I'm taking the home dog.
They're not dogs.
What?
They're favored by 4.5.
Okay, well, I'm going to take them in the points. Brock Purdy's not playing.
That doesn't matter.
Oh, well, no. Arizona is sneaky good at home. San Francisco.
Not lately.
Okay, but no, I'll look at it this way. Arizona's got more to play for than San Francisco.
They're both not playing for anything, though.
Exactly. So it's at home.
I don't buy that. They're playing for more.
Okay.
Miami at the New York Jets. Miami's favored by 1 point on the road. Dolphins are on a 4-game win streak against the Jets, so give me the Dolphins.
Oh, my God. Another game that I have to take the Dolphins. I'm just saying that this...
Wow, you're not taking the Jets.
No, they've just killed me and watched them win this week. You know what I'm saying?
Cruz has finally figured it out.
Oh, I don't know. That game scares me. Just scares the living shit out of me. But
Seattle at the LA Rams. Seattle is favored by 6.5 on the road. Give me the Rams, the home dogs.
What? Seattle's favored by what?
6.5 on the road.
I'll take the Rams too. I thought that the Rams were favored, but they're sitting everybody too, right?
Looks like it. Let me just Seattle favored by 6.5. LA Chargers at the Las Vegas Raiders. Chargers favored by 4 on the road. I'm going to take Vegas, the home dogs.
Oh, taking the Chargers to crush them for the win and the playoffs. They need that position.
Yeah, but they're already in.
I know Harbaugh. he's not going to. No, you don't go into the playoffs losing, especially what they built this year. A loss would look terrible, and Vegas is horrible.
And last but not least, Minnesota at Detroit. Sunday night, the big one. We're all looking forward to this one. Detroit favored by 3 points at home. Lions have won their last 4 against the Vikings. Give me Detroit.
I have to take them at Ford Field if I didn't. I'm not even comfortable about my picks and considering everything that's on the line, but here we go. Everybody's got to make the picks. Everyone's got to hope for the best.
Absolutely.
Now, here's what may happen. I've done this before, and it's burned me. I might, by the time I put my picks in with Mr. Pick, I might change a couple. Look again, I don't know. But I'll probably stick the way it is because either you're in or you're out.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You in or you out. So that's the way it is. Anyways, I hope it's a great weekend of football. It's going to be depressing in a certain way because this is the last week of a full slate of games that went by pretty damn quickly.
It always does.
You know what I mean? And then here it's going to be the playoffs, and a month from now it's a Super Bowl, and football's over. No,
it's okay. We still got ways to go. We got our show in under 2.5 this week. No trivia this week. Any closing thoughts?
No, I'm just going to say that since it is a new year, we should hope that all of our listeners appreciate the fact that you're back here in the new year. And to everybody else, let's hope for peace and prosperity to each and every one of you. And don't forget to be positive.
Yep. Looking forward to Black Monday this week.
Oh, I forgot that was one of the points. How many coaches? Last call. 7? How many coaches fired? I was on my notes. My last note. I meant to ask you that. Real quick. What are you thinking?
Yeah, let's go 6.
We'll go with 6. 2 places already open, and Belichick's in North Carolina.
Yep. Pete Carroll and, oh my God, who was coach of Tennessee last year?
Oh, Vrabel's got a job for sure, 100%.
Him and Carroll, I think, are getting hired.
I don't know. Carroll's age is...
You don't think the Bears? I know that's been a little bit of a hot rumor.
My hope is this, that, what's her name, Ford, overpays to keep...
again.
The coordinators in Detroit. That's my biggest wish. The rest of it, I don't give a damn. Right. Anything else you'd like to bring up?
What's your thing that you're looking forward to in sports most this week?
This week? Tomorrow night.
Yeah, me too.
Tomorrow night. I've got a vested interest in this, and I'm already edgy. By game time tomorrow night, I will be pretty well. I don't know if I'll be a functional human being. Now, I'm supposed to go out and watch this game in public.
Where are you guys going?
I don't know yet. I've got a bunch of people telling me you gotta be there, Cruz. We gotta see you. This is the game. People don't realize how many times I watched the Detroit Lions by myself, and I'm going to repeat the reasons why. Behavior issues. Strictly behavior issues, if you know what I'm saying. All the best, though.
We'll keep all the sharp objects away from Cruz during that match. Don't worry, folks.
I put everything down in the fourth quarter. There's never anything in my hands in a close game of Detroit Lions in the fourth quarter. Learned many, many, many years ago. Big shout out to my son. You've seen the picture that was sent to me today. I would be remiss to all the boys in Pheasant Run if I didn't shout out to Matty Johnny. Should be here. He should be here.
Yeah.
But something I got to get over, and Minnesota, Detroit, Sunday night.
For all the marbles.
You got it.
We'll also say that next week, we'll be back next week for a regular show, but the Saturday after, I'm camping that week, and I'm going to Montreal, so we'll have a fill-in show. The topic, TBD, we're going to decide that basically as we're cleaning up here right now.
Exactly.
Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But you will not be losing any content, so if you're not.
Great. Good to hear that. Anything else you'd like to bring to the table?
That's just about it. How about yourself?
Very happy New Year to the Milani family, and I would
to the Cruzes.
Yes, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say Happy New Year to Rob.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the end of the show. Glad you listened. Hi, my name is Cruz.
And I'm Andrew Milani.
And what do?
We keep the vibe alive.
Thank you.
You can find The House That Happens on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart Radio, Player FM, Samsung, Podchaser, Boomplay, YouTube, and SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at The House That Happens, and follow us on Twitter at House Happens. You can also shoot us an email at thehousethathappens@gmail.com.